don't know about that. That's a lot of pressure.
No, it's not. It's not a lot of honestly, like straight up. I've been doing this for the last 3 days. I know you've noticed. You were mentioned in one of those things. I just been like just appreciating people for the sake of appreciating people. What is wrong with just saying, you know what, these people are great? It's hard to say it to yourself. It's like, oh my god, I'm not that great. Look at the shit I do every day, right?
Yeah.
But more often than not, like you look, it's like, oh my god, I do a lot of them. Like this isn't even like ego stories. Like I do a lot of cool shit.
Yeah.
It's a matter of perspective, right?
Where does truth end and ego begin? That's the only problem.
Well, no, you gotta have some ego, man. You gotta have a little bit of ego.
There's an overlapping. I mean,
you have to have some. Look, I like. Okay, so I love old school professional wrestling. Like I'm talking like the old 1980s WWF, like late 80s, 90s WCW. And anyway, that listens to me knows I'm old. Shut up, but that's okay. But the thing is, but the thing about that era is these were guys that were paid to come talk people to come into the arena, right? That's it. Like that's what they did. And when you get right down to it, when you get right down to it, like what they're selling is ego and self-belief.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the fun part about it. That was the fun part about it. If it was just a couple of guys that got in there and started fighting, it wouldn't be as interesting. That's the same thing with boxers and everything. They want to trash talk each other before they get into the ring. That way you can pick a side, which one you want to go with.
Well, that's also like so if you go back, that goes back to Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Who stole it from a wrestler in the 50s named Gorgeous George.
Okay, so, I think I heard that name before.
Yeah, that is way before either of our times.
Yeah, oh yeah,
right, way before either of our times. But like you'd hear Muhammad Ali would like do his trash talking, right? If you look at MMA, I mean Conor McGregor stole that concept a little bit, right? So did Chael Sonnen, so did because people enjoy a little shit talking. It's just the way it is, right? But what it is like no one like here's the thing, right? No one wants to hear you go, hey, listen, I liked this like book and this thing here, and like I think it's cool. Like no one's gonna buy that, right? No one's really gonna buy it. Like no one is.
No, yeah.
Right?
No, true.
Right? So ego's good. Ego's good. It's like I can talk about like my next book, which comes out in December, which is like it's Alice in Wonderland is Greek mythology, right? Alice is playing croquet in the underworld against Jason of the Argonauts. So if that does not pique your interest, I don't know what will. But look how I said that.
Yeah. So that's literal Alice in Wonderland playing croquet, or is that like a metaphor of what is it?
No, it's legit croquet.
Oh,
it's croquet in the Greek underworld with Jason.
See, I was having a discussion online a little while back about marketing books, and the guy who did Crimson with Humberto Ramos, the comic book Crimson came out back in 99, 98. Brian Augustine, he was kind of tired of hearing people say, "Oh, this book is like just like this and this mixed together, like Lord of the Rings and some."
It's annoying. Brian's an interesting one. Brian's an interesting one.
Yeah.
He wrecked his me personally. He wrecked his impression because the first time I actually had a conversation, he won't remember this. I remember this because again, I grew up. So my first comic was Starman, 1988. He was the editor of that book. Roger Stern, Tom Lyle. So I've seen Brian Augustine's career, and truth be told, one of my favorite runs of his is Exo Manowar from Valiant during Acclaim ran it. It's an underratedly cool book. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about Brian. So Brian once asked about what Castle is, right? It's basically a combination of a rom-com and Murder, She Wrote. That's what it is.
Okay, yeah,
yeah. Okay. So the moment I said that to him, he completely brushed it off, right? He completely brushed it off. He basically said, "What the hell? You don't know what the hell you're talking about." And then literally the response after that was, "No, Brian, he's right. That is actually a really good description of the show, right? Because it is."
Yeah.
Castle and Angela, basically they modernized the old Murder, She Wrote concept, and they added a very charismatic lead, and they had a love story. It works, right?
Well, yeah, but that's how that works. But I think his point was just basing like I made the comparison with somebody that said you don't want to say something. You know, it was a show I never really read the books, Magicians. That was on Sci-Fi. I would say you wouldn't say if you liked Harry Potter, you like the Magicians. Well, why? Because it has magic in it. That's a comparison.
So this is where I do agree. On the flip side, this is where I do agree. That was my impression of Brian Augustine. And Brian, if you do happen to listen to this, yeah, man, that was literally your response to me. I still haven't forgotten it, and that is the opening impression you left me. That's it.
Look, I just became friends with him like a week or two ago.
Yeah,
it all came over a discussion about Mark Waid, and we weren't really at odds, but we were disagreeing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to shoot him a friend request. If he accepts my friend request, he's a cool guy. We could disagree, and he accepted it.
I'm doing a little bit of ball busting here.
But what I mean by that is that's the kind of thing that you should be having. That's the interaction you should be having.
Oh, absolutely. No, no, he's right. But but what you got to understand is what is being trying to be done and why it fails. And I think so. Marketing is storytelling. If you really, but it's simplified storytelling because what you're selling there, okay, you do books, right? So the question I would ask anyone trying to sell their book, what do you want your audience to feel reading it?
Right.
So,
and of course, it depends on the book. So it depends.
Absolutely. Every book has a different feeling, right?
Yeah.
Right. Harry Potter, in terms of like, but the reason why this fails when you say, okay, it's like Harry Potter, right?
Yeah.
Is because Harry Potter is the magicians in Harry Potter. They're not the same tone.
No,
not at all. Right? They're not even like, they're night and day. Like magicians are a lot more adult, a lot more sophisticated, a lot more political. May not be quite the right word, but it's definitely got more adult politics in the stories, right? Harry Potter is I'm not saying Harry Potter is a simple story by any stretch of the imagination, but in that sense, it's a simpler concept.
Right.
Right. So it's cleaner.
I guess you could say it's like Harry Potter goes to college.
Yeah. See, but that's a better one because the reason why is now you're taking a concept people are familiar with, and you're adding a layer of experience to it. Yeah. Right. Right. The reason why my castle description works is it's a modern day Murder, She Wrote, which there was oh, that show was terrible, but it's a romantic comedy. It's a romantic comedy on top of that. That's not so bad. That's a different twist on that story.
Yeah.
So you got kind of a sense of the tone and the experience you're going to get watching, and that's what Castle is. It's not a complicated show, but it's a fun show with a cool love interest subplot and fun mysteries throughout the series.
Yeah.
Personal note, I liked it too because some of the creators from Deep Space Nine wrote that show for at least the first little while.
I never saw it. I know Nathan Fillion was in it, but I've never watched it.
Nathan Fillion was in it. It's not bad. It's not, in comparison, think of it like it's like going to a cafe and getting a latte and a nice Danish. It's a fun thing. I wouldn't call it necessarily healthy to watch on the road, right? But as a junk food kind of show, a fun little show, it's exactly what it's supposed to be. And
it's one of those things you turn your brain off and you just enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. Totally, right? So, but that's the thing. Marketing is about capturing. So again, I told you, Alice in Wonderland playing croquet in the underworld against Jason of the Argonauts.
Yeah, no, that's
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It feels both Wonderland, but the twist you can see the twist right there and then, right? And I didn't even tell you the other best two parts. Alice has the Cheshire Cat in her head. And Jason has his own little shadow following him too from the first book in the series.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting duel because the labyrinth is the labyrinth. They're actually playing in a labyrinth in the underworld, and each going their own directions, playing this game of croquet, and so it's a crazy.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah, it's a crazy story, right? Yeah, it's a crazy story, and I had so much fun writing it. Right, you get a sense of it's kooky, it's a little different. You get that sense immediately. It's Alice, so you have a bit of familiarity, what you kind of expect, and Greek mythology, right? So now it's like it's a very unique flavor, and I haven't had to work that hard, and I just did marketing right there, right? Yeah. It's not hard, right? It's a mashup of two classic like storytelling tropes of Wonderland, but with a and if I were to add something else, there's a bit of Carl Jung Shadow's persona concept inside the story as well. But, right, all of that to be said, right, I don't have to make it that complicated. Like, you've heard this. You're either like, I'm in.
Right.
Or you're like, fuck this. And that's right. And that's totally, right? And that's totally fair.
Yeah, because if you're not into Alice in Wonderland, you're not into Greek mythology, it's not for you.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what I am. I'm marketing it exactly the way it's supposed to be. And my Wonderland is a freaking awesome. That's just the way it is. And if you don't like it, but again, listen to me. I'm confident. I'm enthusiastic. I'm passionate. You can hear it with how I'm talking about this.
Right.
Right? That's the inner pro wrestling ego thing.
Yeah, because if you don't sound excited about your stuff, nobody else is really going to be excited about it. So that's,
exactly.
That's how it is. Yeah.
You don't want this is like my book and stuff. So I'll never forget this I will never forget this for as long as I live. I was in Phoenix, Arizona doing the Phoenix Con. I had a hell of a time. Like, it was a good show. So the aisle I was in, this is the aisle I was in. I was beside, I can't remember, I want to say Ethan Phillips, but that doesn't sound quite right. Big time artist. He's got like his whole booth. He's got all kinds of people like selling his prints there, right? Same aisle. You have farther down. You have Jake the Snake Roberts promoting a movie. Another this is beside me on the first day. Phoenix Suns executives were showing off 3D printers before they were cool. It was really cool. I had to have my big mouth game on that day because there was like lots of amazing things.
Right. Yeah.
So the guys working for the Suns had to do Phoenix Suns stuff on Saturday, so they're going to have their buddy come in and promote his comic. That was painful to watch. That was legitimately painful to watch because you see all this going on, okay? And he's not talking to anybody at all.
The Phoenix Sun guy. The
Phoenix Sun guy. Not them. They knew how to their Sunday, their day after show was amazing. They knew how to market. We'll get to that a little later, to that part later. But watching him, and he had a good comic. I was I was watching him. I was looking at him. I was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? And I does your book suck? I mean, I don't know, right? He's got this giant table that can be used, right? So I'm like, I'm looking, it's not bad.
Yeah,
it's very better than mine was. The first one I did. So I'm like, okay, I'm watching him. I'm watching everything else. Like, no one came to buy because he didn't try to engage with anybody. Right. Yeah. The Suns guys watched him. They came by later in the evening, and they looked from a distance, and not just us, the guys next door beside, like the guys beside me with the art guy. We all looked. It was like, this is painful.
Painful. I haven't gotten into that kind of situation, so I'm like, I don't know how I want to be when that becomes my turn. You know.
Yeah.
I trying to sell something like, oh golly, I don't know.
That's just it, right? You see that, and you go. Ugh.
Yeah, right. Well, now I know what not to do. The question is, will I not do it? So.
Well, they watched him. Like the Suns guys watched. Like, he's been like this all day. It's like, yeah. It's like, I don't understand. Like,
right.
that was literally there. So the next day they show up, they're showing off their 3D printer. They're looking at like shopping a film around. So this is what they do. Now obviously, if we had this kind of money, we'd be doing this too. You get like this really, really pretty blonde girl in like with a gun, holding it up as the model, and she's wearing like this shirt that like would just slowly ride up. She had to adjust it all the time. It was distracting. It was a very distracting experience.
It was going to bring people to the booth.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some things just work, right?
This is strategic.
Yeah. They knew how to market, right?
Right, yeah. He just didn't know how to sell it from that point.
Yeah.
Get it to the table, just can't get him to leave with anything.
Yeah. So. Like I interview a lot of authors, right? Most of them are like, I'm just happy to be here and no. You don't have to be obnoxious like me. I'm an asshole. Don't have to be like me.
Yeah.
Right.
No. Well, we went to MegaCon out in Florida, Orlando this past August, and I'll tell you, one person that I saw, he was out in front of his booth, constantly selling, and I had a little bit of experience with it. Was Henri Compton?
Yes.
Yes. Now he's out moving. He is out selling in front of his booth. And it was impressive to watch him because anybody that walked by, he was talking to. He was just going. I was like, golly, I wish I could be. I don't even know if I could be that outgoing.
So, like the other like sales experience I had, like Phoenix, when I was living in Phoenix, I had this thing called First Friday. So you get this little crappy ass table. I published my first book. This was way back in like 2006. I'm a Canadian coming down. I'm like, from an outside looking in, your platforms are amazing. Even the stuff for free you guys do, the push shit, is incredible. It's like no joke, right? It's amazing to watch. So I'm just putting beside people way more talented than I am, and I'm not even I mean, one time I still remember, like, the most famous one I ever had was I was beside a stage one day where people were performing music, and then right beside me were like these stained glass windows that were just beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I better talk, or no one's gonna fucking pay attention to me, because why would you? Right? But I learned how to talk and meet, because it's not always even about the sale right this minute. It's about making an impression, because people do buy books, but what people are actually investing is you.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You want, what the book does is make them want to come back. That's the thing. That's the thing. You want them to buy it for you. I see that. But you want them to come back because they enjoy the story. Because nothing's worse than they buy a book and never read it. Please read it.
Please tell me it works. Please tell me it sucks. Tell me something.
I'm more than happy to hear something doesn't work out and tell me. A lot of times somebody will say, "Oh, it's good." Well, okay, that's what do you like about it? What don't you like about it? That's what I want to. I'd rather you say, "Yeah, it's good," but I want to hear what the but is, because that's going to help me get better. That's going to help me grow. That's going to help me. That next book that I do put out, that you do buy because of who I am, you'll want to come back and read the next thing.
That's the thing about, like, getting feedback from people. It's hard. Like, feedback from professionals, that's a little easier. It's like, well, what are you looking for? I want to get better. In what way? This way. Okay, we'll do that. Because also, like, someone like me, so like, I'll help you make your book better. Cool. What do you want me to do? Like, how to make it better? Is there anything specific you're looking for? Right? Yeah. And it can be as simple as, do I draw my tentacle? Are my tentacles evil enough?
Right.
Okay. Right. Or is it something like more complex? Like when I beta read my stuff, I ask like 3 questions. One is, does this make you feel anything? It's the first question. Does anything really make you feel something? Because that's important.
That's important. Yeah.
Right. The second thing is, does anything confuse you? Because I don't want. I want, this sounds good here. Sometimes it doesn't sound so good on the page, but it seems like a great thing here, right?
Yeah.
So does anything confuse you? Is the second thing. And the third thing, I ask them. It depends on who it is, right? What do you think about this particular scene? Like, did you feel like this particular scene? What should I do with it? Like, it's like one Bay read, am I cheating on the ending? You're like, one person was like, yes, you are, you son of a bitch. Do the actual fucking work. It's like, yes, okay. Because you knew, didn't you? Others, you wouldn't have asked that question. It's like,
yeah, yeah, right. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you don't need a criticism. You know what the problem is. You just wonder if somebody else could see it.
yes, you did. Jag did say it. This is Jag, one of my beta readers. Jag, this is C. Michael Lanning. So we've been talking about egos and how I make an ass of myself, and it's been a fun chat so far.
Well, years ago I actually took a Gotham writing workshop course, and one of the things that I guess the teacher started it, but they would say in the class, your bones are showing, and that was one thing when you don't want people to see how you put something together.
Yep. Exactly. No, you don't. What you want to see is well, you don't want if it's doing its job well, people never notice.
Right.
Right. If it's when people, that's almost like a bonus. Their questions, and like that's why it's like sometimes I will ask this question in prose. I will ask this a lot. Does anything make you stop reading? Why did you stop? Because that's important. Right.
Yeah, you don't want somebody to put it down and not pick it back up again. That's just going to be the death. But again, I'd rather you not put it down. But if you're going to put it down, please tell me you can't wait to pick it back up.
Yeah, like that's it, right? Like you have to recognize Okay, so comics are not comics. You guys can cheat a little better in some ways because your shit's prettier.
Yeah.
Prose, you gotta you gotta put a picture in head with words, and that's all you got.
Right.
You already are putting pictures in head. What you're playing with is time. You want to make a moment move without actually having it move.
Right.
That's the secret to your art form. So really good storytelling, you can actually feel the movement. That's when you know it's really, 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 really good. Right? So what you're trying to so for you guys, it's about the flow. Like the cliffhanger page. Does what it turned to make sense? Right?
Yes.
Am I watching King Kong about to destroy the building, and then the next thing I'm seeing a cartoon rabbit on a deserted island somewhere, and you're like,
I didn't see that. That would be a good pan way. Something that better have something to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you can do it if there is a reason for it,
right.
But it's there's got it. Like, but even then, there's some little tricks you can do, right? Like it could be a similar scene. Like you can see the building or same building from another angle. The color scheme can be done in a way that.
A lot of times what you do, especially when you deal with a panel, and if you're going to switch like that, is you almost set up your panel the same way. Even like, say, for instance, you have King Kong here, and then you have the rabbit here.
Yes.
You know, and it blends that way. It subconsciously blends into the next panel.
Yeah. It's like one of those little mechanics that you're like, if it does its job, you don't notice it.
Right.
But if you do notice it, there's got to be a reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If it stands out, it better stand out. Otherwise, your bones are showing.
Yeah. Exactly. It's all about that. Like you want to hide. Good magicians hide their magic. Like that's the way it goes. Like, what are you doing here? And what do you do well? Now, you as a creative need to understand that at some point. It's like, okay, I've been doing this shit for a while. What am I doing exactly?
Right.
Sometimes you still don't know the answer.
You know, and when I got back into comic book art, 5 or 6 years ago, I started back into it, and I was writing before that. And I got to the point where it was like, okay, I could write everything that I want you to see, but I actually got a rejection letter from I can't remember the name of it right now. It escapes me now. It was a fantasy short story that I sent. I got a rejection letter on it because I was too descriptive. And what, yeah, it was basic, because when you send out these letters, you send out these stories, you're subjected to who's ever going to read it, which bugs the hell out of me, because if you get the wrong person, you'll never get by because they just don't like your style or whatever the case is. And it was too descriptive, and it lost them. Although, but it's a good story. And so, okay, but you know what? I want you to live in this world that I'm coming up with. I want you to, and so I got kind of a control freak concept of it. And I said, you know what? I want you to see this world. If the only way I can get you to see this world is if I draw it and show it to you myself, that's what I'm going to do. And
control freak. So can I call you Mike?
Yeah. I'm C. They call me C too.
Or C. Well, okay. C. Are you secretly a supervillain? Because you want to control the world. And
not yet. I'm still working on my origin story.
Okay, gotcha. All right, gotcha. No, I totally get like. So like short stories places are by as a general rule of thumb, not always, but as a general rule of thumb, they are looking for reasons to say no. And it's very and even when you have every yes checked down, sometimes the nature of the issue that's coming out, and you're almost playing the lottery.
Really?
Almost.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because you look at it, a handful of stories, 2, 3 at the most, going into something like Clark's World, or Asimov's stuff, and to get in there, you'd have to appeal to who's ever reading it.
Absolutely.
And what bothered me about that was, okay, I could write what I want to write and be happy, or I can write the way they want me to write, not be happy about it, but at least I can say that I'm published. And that started kind of conflicting for me. It's like, well,
see, I've learned how to pimp out my talents. There's an art form to that.
Yeah.
Right. What I have learned how to do, and this is because I freelance and stuff like that, is there are times where I will go, okay, I will write this because I'm being asked to write this.
Right.
Right. Or I'm going to do a voiceover because I'm asked to do a voiceover, or I'm going to be working on a show because I've been asked to work on a show. And I can accept, like, when I kind of take a job like that this is not mine.
Yeah.
Right? This is me working to a client.
Right.
Right? So I can still enjoy it, and I find the tools I've learned, right, help me with my actual storytelling.
Right.
But there's 2 things. Number one, I actually do not do that with fiction at all, unless I'm asked to do it. Because fiction's a pain in the ass. And not even, it's not so much. Okay, I just submitted a pitch to a place I regularly send pitches to, and they just rejected it. Do you know what my turnaround time was? 24 hours.
Yeah.
That is a reasonable, yes or no. I don't feel like I've wasted my time.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
If I submit something to a fiction piece, right, I'm going to be like, so I will not hear. I have literally something I wrote at the beginning of the pandemic I still haven't heard back about yet.
Yeah, some of them just won't respond to you. That was one thing.
Yeah.
Beyond Ceaseless Skies, maybe, I think was the name of the publication.
Beneath Ceaseless Skies.
Yes.
Yeah. They're a good magazine. They actually are.
Yeah, they are. They really are. They have some fantastic stories in there. I'm just not good enough to be in it. But no, not really. But and so in order to have gotten that personalized response was actually a good thing in that too, because say Clark's World and everything else, they're not going to give you personalized response. They'll just say, "Thank you for submitting. We're not taking you at this time," or whatever the case is. It's some automatic letter. So.
I'm actually at the point where I don't get automatic letters anymore. I get either very nice no's or yeses. It's really nice. I've got to that point, right? Occasionally, I get the odd, like the odd one, but by and large, right? So, but I get I have it with nonfiction. You get a very quick turnaround either way, which is fine. I can move on. I got my current writing assignment is a depressing one, comparing North America to 1930s Germany. It's a very, very depressing Interesting but depressing article to
Oh, I
write.
don't know. Oh, that sounds almost prophetic.
Oh, so when IBM is making the blockchain, they also made the famous punch cards that the Jews had. Yeah, there are definitely some things about this that have a full circle feel to it.
Yeah,
That's neither, but again, that's neither here nor there. I was asked to do it. I get paid to do it.
right.
I'm fine. And honestly, it was fascinating. I learned some things about Germany in the 30s that was in 40s that was really, really fascinating that
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know. It's like, this is kind of cool. But yeah, it's one of those things where you just look at it and you listen to it and you go, again, it's not something I would normally write, but I can take the tools I'm learning now and applying it to stuff I really want to write.
Right.
And I'm good that way. I don't have to put all my eggs in one basket. I'm not forcing myself. Creatively speaking, I have to be asked. Like the Alice story, I was asked to do it. I was asked initially to do it. I never would have done it otherwise. Right. And now I have like this trilogy of epic poems of just Alice and Greek mythology mixing and mashing in just so many different wonderful, wacky ways. Now it's like in my head. And I never would have done it if I wasn't asked to do it.
But you see, and you're mixing those two, but I can actually see those two fit in well together.
Oh, absolutely.
Nowadays, you get, and this is not on anybody, but you'll get somebody use Wonderland or Oz, and I get really up in arms about Oz because I'm a big Oz fan. But well, they'll just mix it with something that it just doesn't fit right. But I can actually see Greek mythology fitting in the Lewis Carroll train of thought, because he was such a philosopher and mathematician. It kind of fits into that Greek way of thinking.
I actually think the Oz would tie in best with decline and fall of the Roman Empire. Right? You make Oz Rome, and you make everything else like the Empire decaying, and you could I think you could do a neat story that way.
I can see that. I can see, and it would make sense if you look at like the General Ginger and what was it, Marvelous Land of Oz. That kind of fits into that just decay of society, whatever the case is, at the fall of Rome.
Well, because the most interesting thing about Oz to me is Oz is basically based on a lie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's totally based on a lie, right?
Yeah,
and it's such an interesting. The heart of Oz is a con man behind the curtain, and so that's a.
And I never see that they never seem to get that right to me. The Emerald City wasn't really emerald; they were wearing the glasses to see it that way, and that was the whole shysterness of the wizard. We get James Franco and and a green witch. Anyway.
I think Wicked by Gregory Maguire is a really cool adaptation of the Wicked Witch of the East story. I think that's fun.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I'll be honest with you, because me and the MGM movie don't see eye to
eye. I read the books. I have to confess something. See, I'm not cool when it comes to television. You can ask Jag. I am just totally uncool when it comes to. I'm still watching Fairy Tale, the Japanese anime Fairy Tale right now. I'm still, So,
well, that's a long show. So you still got.
Oh no, it's taken a lot, but I've enjoyed the journey, right? Yeah. But I'm not like when I finish the story, I'll do Steins Gate. That'll be the next one I do. Yeah, and then after that, I don't know. I figure it'd take me about a year to get there, right at this point. But I mean,
I tried Steins. I couldn't get into Steins Gate, believe it or not. But,
it's fun.
But here's the advantage that I have as an artist versus you as a writer, though, is I can put something on right here and watch it while I draw.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can get through stuff easier that way. Maybe that's also another reason. Stuff,
but watch. Yeah, I'm not mature enough for Netflix. I'm not mature enough. Like, he's laughing because he knows it's true. Right? I'm not. I've learned that for me personally, that I am one of those people that kind of gets all encompassed into what they're doing. So I can have music in the background. I can have like a podcast going in the background, but I can only really engage. I'm limited this way. I go all in and try to make this beautiful thing, or I get completely engrossed by this video game I'm playing, and there's really no middle ground. There's no middle ground.
Yeah. Well, see, that's one thing. There's a lot of gorgeous video games out there, and I'm not a gamer. I've never been a gamer. My wife was, before she got busy, but she liked playing, Skyrim and things like that. But I didn't have a game system growing up.
Yeah.
But I know that I could get involved in some of these, and then that's it. I'm done. I'm not doing anything else. So I
no. So I'll tell you my Netflix top secret origin story here. So for me, I realized Netflix wasn't for me. It wasn't when I watched Daredevil. Daredevil's a great show. It was a lot of fun. It was Kill la Kill.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Yeah.
No. It's a weird anime. It's an okay show. It's not what you think it is. That's the thing about it. Like halfway through, you realize that this battle anime you thought it was going to be is something else completely, and it's wacky as shit. It's fun, but it's wacky. Yeah. But I couldn't call it a good show. I could call it like a show.
Yeah.
I ended up watching the entire series in one night with a bud. And I just realized at the end of that, I can't do Netflix. I just can't do it.
No, yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, because next thing you know, I'll be watching like some home garden show that went on for like 300 actually my worst nightmare, Bob Ross. Just watching Bob Ross paint forever.
And that's what I get stuck watching bad shows. I'm like, this is just bad. I'm not wasting my time with this just because I want to see the end of it. Just because I have to know what the end of it is.
You're a man that enjoys a car crash. That's the thing.
Like That's it.
Right? You know that it's shit. Like you figure it out. Like I'll assume you're a generous soul. You'll give it about 10 minutes. All right, and in 10 minutes you have a very good idea. Sometimes you get a show like I can't remember. It's a Canadian show. It's a science fiction show. It had no budget, but it was really, really good. And then they're using storytelling. I can't remember what it's called, and it's going to drive me up the wall. The budget was terrible, and you could see it. And you're like, but in spite of the budget, they're actually telling a pretty good story. So I'll watch it, right?
Yeah.
That's a car crash of budget. And honestly, you can't blame any show for what they have, right? Right. But then you'll see a show like I'm going to make fun of it right here, Andromeda.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
I think I might have watched one episode.
Yeah, Kevin Sorbo. It's like like.
I just couldn't see him as
the thing that kills you. The things that kills you about it is like, here's the thing that kills you. It's not that it's just a car crash. You can actually see elements of the show that if they were allowed to nurture would actually be good. Like it would be a good show.
Yeah.
And Big Bang Theory is my car crash. It is totally my car crash.
That's on you. I'm sorry. That's one car crash that I go ahead and drop.
No. I walked away from it, but but it's one of those, like, that's the show I think of when I think of car crash.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But it could be good because the cast is talented. It's not the cast, right? It's not the cast. It's occasionally you will see these occasionally brilliant nuggets of stuff in that show. Sometimes and then you'll see the same show have the dumbest things you've seen, and you realize you've always seen these things on television. They're just hidden and dressed up in a brand new way.
Yeah.
And it hurts. It legitimately hurts, and that's why you walk away from it. But it's a car crash.
And with that show, I have tried that show a couple of times.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's not a good show. I don't understand. I had friends that loved that show, but they weren't into the quote unquote nerd culture that those guys are supposed to be.
It dumbs down nerds. That's why it's a bad show. It totally dumbs down nerds because here's the thing. The tropes are older than Betty White. And I'm not kidding, ladies and gentlemen. That's
Yeah.
the actual truth. Every trope in that show has come from old Hollywood films older than Betty White.
Oh yeah.
Before Betty White ever started, so some of that stuff on Big Bang was there. It's dressed up in different ways now, but it's there. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Right.
And then and also once you see it, you recognize like Sheldon is someone I would punch in the face in real life. I would. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't deal with those type of people. I just walk away. Yeah.
I no. Well, I might, but again, depending on how much of a dick he was to me, I mean, he might end up with his dick in the dirt. I am that kind of savage. I am that man.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, right? Penny didn't even have a name for like full name for the first 8 years. Just, I mean, that's terrible. The cute, like, I mean, that is terrible.
Like her name was just Penny. They didn't even give her.
Yeah, for like 8 years.
Oh golly.
Yeah, so this is bad. Like this is an old trope. Like she's not a person. If she was a person, she'd have a full name. No, they didn't give her that. They didn't make her that. So and you can go up down the whole cast, and it's a shame because like that show, you have some incredibly talented people doing that show.
Is fantastic.
Oh yeah, no, like the whole cast is like honestly, that cast is super talented, right? It's just your material is shit.
Well, yeah, it was Chuck Lorre doing the same thing as Chuck Lorre does all the time. It's the same. It's 2.5 Men, or a whole bunch of other stuff that he's done that I can't even think of. And he just kind of recycles it, and it's stereotypes of nerd culture, and that's all that was. Now, one show that I do like to watch was Silicon Valley, and I think the reason behind that is because they didn't talk down to you as far as the jokes were concerned. Whereas Big Bang Valley would be like Big Bang Theory would be all like the Hoth ice planet. How many times have you heard that joke? But they would say something like, a show would be like, man, it's as cold as Hoth out there. But the Big Bang Theory, the joke would be like, it's as cold as the ice planet Hoth from The Empire Strikes Back. They'd have to explain the joke to you because the people watching it are people who really know those references, and it just comes off as being talked down to. That's what it was to me.
Well, okay, so a tale of two shows in one. The Simpsons, the first seasons 2 through 7, maybe 2 through 8. You could make the argument to season 8 too, and then anything after that, how they did jokes, right? The jokes were so much smarter in like seasons 2 through 8. Like they were so sophisticated, right?
Yeah.
Also, literally, the monorail is still one of the greatest things I've ever seen on television.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to remember what episodes they had after season 8. We owned like up to 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, we just started kind of
6 and 7 has some good stuff in it too, right? But my favorite 3 Simpsons episodes are the monorail.
I have that song in my head.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. Monorail.
Wasn't Leonard Nimoy in that one? Was that the one?
Actually he was. Yeah, he was. That was such a crazy episode.
Yeah.
Right? It was everything like it is the quintessential Simpsons episode.
Oh,
everything on that clicked. The second episode I really liked. I really enjoyed Homer skipping church. I really, really enjoyed that episode. It's terrible, but awesome at the same time.
I remember because God has 5 fingers.
Yeah. It was good, right? Right? It was really, really good.
Were they trying to say something, or did Matt Green just get like his Catholic guilt in there? Kind of like, I'm not going to do God with 4 fingers. We'll do it with 5.
There might be something a little different about The Simpsons right now, Simpsons universe, right? Like there might be just something a little different.
Yeah.
Then there's the other one I really like is when he worked for Scorpio.
I don't know if I
Remember, he gets his job in Shady Pines, and the guy he works for is actually a supervillain.
I don't remember that one.
So he gets this job. He moves the whole family to this town. So Hank Scorpio's the boss, right? He talks about dreaming about owning the Dallas Cowboys. So the show ends with Homer owning the Denver Broncos. It is one of it's amazing. It makes fun of all the James Bond tropes, all of them.
Yeah,
right.
I'll have to go back.
It might be season 6, but those are my favorite 3. And then the honorable mention on that one is Sideshow Bob becoming mayor, because that was.
And that's Kelsey Grammer. You have to hand to Kelsey Grammer.
Oh no,
he always brings it. So.
Oh yeah, he brought it, but it was great. But it's also like the Matlock Expressway still cracks me up even to this day. We're gonna build this.
Go back and watch. It's been so long. I tried to watch newer episodes a few months ago. They are
such a step. If you want to watch modern Matt Groening being funny, that's Futurama. Like Futurama is hilarious.
It was, yeah. I love the way they ended it. I don't want to say, but I love the way that they ended it. It just kind of, it keeps going. It lends to itself, and that whole.
I legitimately loved the I just love that cast. That cast is just it was totally fun. It was funny. The whole series is just funny. The whole they were victimized by the fact that they were always part of the NFL. Damn you, football. Damn.
Yeah. They always, when Futurama first premiered, they put it on at 6:30.
Yeah.
Which is right before The Simpsons. They didn't have it in that animation block. Yeah. They eventually called it, I guess, because this was before Family Guy.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
And that's a show I hate, by the way. Family Guy is another show. I can't do it.
I'll be honest, maybe the first season. Maybe the first season after that
it's just that Peter Griffin legitimately pisses me off. I
can see that.
Yeah, he legitimately pisses me off. And I can't. I have no empathy for anything. Now I get some of the part of the joke is all the old classic sitcoms from the 70s and 80s that were deemed abusive and heinous are being made fun of. Those tropes are getting ramped up to a zillionth, right?
Right.
But when Meg gets out of jail and kicks the crap out of him twice, and I'm cheering both times, I'm like, I can't watch this show anymore.
See, I can't even remember the last episode of that I watched. It got, because it basically was the same jokes over and over again, just
absolutely
with a different subject, really.
Yeah.
In fact, I think maybe I used to watch all that kind of stuff. I think the only thing maybe I watch sometimes is Bob's Burgers, but other than that, there's nothing really. I'm not even a Rick and Morty fan. I know that's
cool.
But
this is why I watch Japanese anime, my friend, because I can get my intelligence. I can get my intelligence rewarded, or if they're going for the lowest common denominator, what you're getting into right when you start that show. There's no.
Oh yeah. Well, we usually. I wasn't even counting anime. That's kind of
this is why I shifted, right? Because most cartoons today.
Yeah.
Right. Samurai Jack's good. Harley Quinn's good. Avatar's the bomb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm missing a couple, but I'm only missing a couple.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What was the second one you said?
I said Avatar.
Yeah.
Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
Samurai Jack's amazing.
Yeah.
And what was the third one? Harley Quinn.
Oh yeah, I have watched Harley Quinn. At first I'm like, oh come on, and then by the time I realized that I watched both seasons.
Yeah, I know. It Harley's a good show. It doesn't pretend to be anything other than what it is, right?
I think what helps Harley is that it's not just Harley.
Yeah.
I like King Shark on there.
King Shark's amazing. King
He
Shark's amazing.
Ed, what's his name? Ron Fuchs is who plays King Shark, and he's hilarious.
It's a good cast. Like the evolution of her and Ivy's relationship. You could see seeds of that from the first season. The first like I love the Joker in that show. I really do. Right?
Yeah.
Because he is the perfect sadistic scumbag in season 1, and when you see him in season 2, it's like, oh my God, he could be a decent human being. If you just leave him be, he could be a decent human being. And Batman looks like sometimes you think Batman's a dork, and in this show he's a dork, and it's hilarious.
I like Damian.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The Damian was, but who is it? Alan Tudyk plays the Joker in there, and I was talking to my daughter and I. We were watching Suburgatory the other day, and Alan Tudyk can just bring it whenever he plays, anything he plays, Joker or whatever. Or a chicken. You can do that too.
But like that show has a great cast. It's adult, like it tells a very real story. Like the reason Harley works is really it's about her. If you really want to break all the bullshit down, it's about Harley Quinn becoming somebody she loves.
Right.
That's what it's about. Like you can cut all the other bullshit out.
Yeah.
Right? All the other bullshit out. This starts with her getting out of an abusive relationship with a psychopath. We've all been there at some level or another, right? And then learning to love the she tried to be a villain in the second season, and she's not really a villain. Like she's not perfect, and she never will be.
Yeah.
But she's not really a villain either. She's Harley Quinn. She's an entity unto herself, right? And and I also love the fact that Clayface, King Shark, all these characters now have these personalities, right? You can like these people, right? You can actually like these people, and it's much like real life. Like no one's a completely black and white character, right?
Right.
I mean, I felt a little sorry for Kite Man at the end of the season,
a little
bit. Yeah, I felt a little sorry for him.
Feel bad for Kite Man.
But it's real.
It's
real, right? Like it's a real messy situation. I mean, the only guy I didn't feel bad for was Dr. Psycho, but I mean that's I mean
oh, man.
but I mean the show works because it doesn't try to insult your intelligence. It's adult in a way that a lot of DC stories aren't, which is part of the fun. But really, it's about a woman basically coming to terms with who she is and learning that maybe she's not that bad person and she's worth loving. That's a good story. That's a really good story.
Yeah, that's the thing. But see, that's what Simpsons used to have too, because you'd always bring it back to that heart.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of lost that after a while. It just wasn't there anymore. They kind of lost who the characters were.
Well, it's simple. And listen. There's nothing wrong with being a fast food franchise. That's what The Simpsons is. It's McDonald's. The French fries will always be the same. Literally, you can leave them out; they'll just never change.
Yeah, right.
Never change. What do you mean they'll never go bad? And why aren't the bugs touching them?
It's like that what is it? A quarter pounder meal they keep under glass for years and years and years. It hasn't changed.
Yeah,
like a decade, almost two, something.
Yeah,
it hasn't rotted or nothing. Like something seriously wrong with this.
It's like, hi, that's The Simpsons. The Simpsons is that burger, right? It refuses to die.
As long as they get, as long as the merchandise sells.
Hey, listen, I can't blame Matt Groening. I can't blame anybody. Look, you, as a creative, right? As a creative, we love the creativity, but in terms of a living, we have to kind of accept the fact too that on your books right now, let's say they become super huge mega hits. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, then you're going to say okay, Now, I personally would be rooting for the video game company, but you're not into video games, so we're just gonna go the other way here, right? Go.
Look, I appreciate. I really do
No,
appreciate.
I know, but because it's you, right? The dream would probably be a cartoon, a movie, or a television show of some kind, right? Nothing wrong with any of that, right? So you get a big studio coming to you. It's like, we will give you piles and piles of money. The first season, it will have its soul, and then the second season, we will excavate it. But we'll pay you for years and years, so you can do your other stuff.
Yeah.
And there is a kind of like, there's a moment when you realize, you know what? This isn't really that bad a deal. I can do other things.
Believe it or not, I've thought about that recently. It was like, I could give this one up because then that could fund other things that I want to put into. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're not necessarily selling out. Like you're not. Like what it is you're being an adult. It's like, this is going to pay for my kids. I'm going to make sure my kids get food.
Right.
And what are you going to do with the rest of my time? I may not have to wear pants now, and I can now create my own stuff. I'm good with this.
Right.
Right. I may have problems going outside ever again, but that is, my wife will beat me into shape if that gets to that point. So, that's it, right? Like there is the fast food franchise is like, okay, book wise, it's James Patterson. As terrible as it is that he doesn't write any of his own stuff, he's not stupid. His name has value. He puts it out there. He doesn't have to do it, right? And he can do whatever he wants.
Pretty much. I mean,
that's
the guy
not a bad deal.
He writes an 80-page outline, gives it off to an author that you've not heard of, who writes it out. So in a way, I know Stephen King thinks he's a hack, and I guess he doesn't have a problem being called a hack. He doesn't care. But in a way, he's also given these other authors a chance to come up by sticking his name with their name.
Oh yeah, no, it's a good and bad deal. It's a good and bad deal. The bad part is, yeah, that's it. You're dealing like, again. It's one of those things where you have to recognize what you have, and what you haven't, and you have to be okay with that. Now, maybe you're like, I will never do that, and that's fine. You don't have to. That's why I'm kind of hoping for the video game route, because you know what? If you take my Alice in Wonderland and you came up with a dancing game, a dancing all night long game, I would be okay with that. I would not mind.
Right.
All right. And then the next, you do like an equivalent to Mario Party, or so, like, I'm good with that. I do not need to worry about like the integrity. Now, if you want to take my story and turn it into like an RPG or another kind, that would be cool too. I would love that. Creatively speaking, that would be the dream. But I realize, like, once you get to the point where you're a franchise, right? The adult conversation in the room is if this is letting you do other things, right?
Right.
How much control are you willing to keep? Right. And there's the tricky line is you still have to find some balance to integrity somewhere.
Right.
But if you can find it.
If it wasn't for The Simpsons and what he did with The Simpsons, you wouldn't have had your Futurama. That wouldn't have happened. So, and which I appreciate. And I think he was able to maintain more creative freedom on Futurama than he's had on The Simpsons for years.
Absolutely.
And I think Simpsons allowed him to do that.
And these are real questions as a creative you ask yourself, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And like, that's the business end of this. Like, your work, whatever that is, like, the ultimate idea is it's not just the book or the comic, it's how you resell it.
Yeah.
Movie, video game, action figure, t-shirt, coffee mug, obnoxious buttons, right? And this sounds all like corny as shit, but that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to find something that connects and resonates with an audience. My dream, if we're talking strictly like franchises, would be Kevin Eastman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I love what he's doing with Ninja Turtles. I love that their whole IDW, what they've done with it, they've retold it in a very fun way. It's a great book. It keeps the integrity of what the Ninja Turtles are, but it's different. It's not something he would do, I don't think. But he's okay with it because it lets him do other shit.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't he own Heavy Metal now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it worked out for him.
Yeah.
And they're still able to tell the Ninja Turtle stories.
Yeah, they're good too.
That was part of their deal. So why not? I mean, he's happy. Everybody else is happy. We still get more Ninja Turtles. And the IDW run is some of the best stuff that they've had for Ninja Turtles.
I thoroughly enjoyed Sophie Campbell's take on it. I love Tom Waltz's run. It's great, but I love that this is such a different take on the character. You need to change the voice every so often, and Sophie has been refreshing. It's slower, and there's good and bad to that. I'm glad she's slowly ratcheting it up bit by bit now. But like the first year was just a nice. Okay, all that crazy shit we did for the last like 2 years, we're gonna give you all a break before we go crazy again.
See, it's been a while since I've read it. I want to say since like City of War, might be. It's been a while.
Yeah, so Sophie took over right at the end of that.
Right. Okay.
But yeah. It's like Splinter's death is still awesome. It's one of the coolest.
Well, it's like, oh, great. No, that's the one. No, I'm just kidding.
You said City at War. I almost wouldn't have said a word.
Well, look what they did, like with the Last Ronin stuff that's coming out now. It doesn't have to be in the same universe that the others are. Some of the stuff, like the way that they have the turtles connected on a spiritual level, not just because they were just a couple of turtles in the same spot, was really a cool concept. When I first started,
they reimagined parts of it that were really, really cool. It adds some mythology to the series, but it's still it's about 4 brothers.
Yeah.
Like even the Last Ronin, that is very much. I called it, by the way. I was interviewing William Holland a while ago. I said, and I told him, like, well, who do you think the Last Ronin was? I said, if in a perfect world, it's either Mike or Don, but I would really want it to be Mike.
It would have to have been Mike. I said,
yeah.
I got called out on live stream too. Who do you think it is? And the guy thought I was going to say Leonardo or Raphael.
Nah.
But it's like, no, it has to be Michelangelo because that's too obvious if it was Leonardo or Raphael.
Well, you could do an interesting story with Donatello. The thing about that is Don's kind of been done. Michelangelo is much more interesting because of the 4.
The character has to grow. It has to change.
Well, yeah, but he's also the kindest one. He wasn't the biggest, the baddest, the strongest, or the toughest.
Yeah.
He's the kindest of them. And somehow he survived something that killed his brothers. Yeah, Donatello, the only reason why I didn't go with Don Jag was simply because Don, they've been playing with that idea in the main Turtle book a little bit, that Don would be the last one, right? So they were kind of telling that story a little bit anyway. Don't get me wrong, you still could have done a different one with Donatello.
Yeah.
But Raphael's boring. He's the most boring of he's the most boring of the 4 of them to tell that story with.
Yeah.
Right? He's by far.
You can see it happening. There's no problem.
Yeah.
You can see he has that. There's no growth there.
Yeah. And Leonardo, although there is a story there, it's also relatively predictable.
Well, they kind of told that story though in the TMNT movie that came out that was CGI.
Yeah.
If you remember, he'd gone off and he was hanging
for
out
like a year, right? Yeah.
America and stuff. It would have been really kind of a rehashing of that. And I don't think that they wanted to go there.
Well, the story there is Leonardo was the leader, like the big brother, and if he survived and they are all dead, there would be issues of failure there.
Yeah.
Like, not just because he failed them, not himself. Like, he failed them, and it would eat at him, and it would and you could do something with that, but it's still relatively one note. Michelangelo, you can do all kinds of things with him because, again, he's the kindest. He might have the biggest heart of all of them. He actually might. So a guy that cares that much, losing everything he loves, that is a neat story.
Yeah.
That's just a really neat story.
Yeah. That was the only way creatively that was going to work. Really.
Yeah. Oh no. Right. That's why it works, and that's why it's Mike.
Yeah.
I love April. By the way, April in that story is wow. Like, just wow. I love April and Casey's kid. Holy shit, is that fun? She is the best / worst of both her parents.
Right. I think I probably remember it because I haven't gotten to finish the whole series yet.
No, the whole series hasn't come out yet.
It hasn't come out yet, right? They're only like 3 or 4, huh?
It's 3. I think the 4th one's coming out this month. So it's just like, but yeah, it's
okay. Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're far apart. They're not even every month. So
there are certain, but I don't care if a book comes out on time. I just care if it's good.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
That's all I care about. Now, there are some people I don't give a pass to, like Jonathan Hickman. I do not give a pass to because I know I've seen and read enough of his work. I know when he's being lazy, so he's good, right? I know it.
I'm trying to think. It was east of west. They kind of had this one. It was just one comic, and it was basically just telling you what every land was after you've already been in this story for like 50 issues already. And you kind of had this one comic that was just, and I appreciate the world building of East of West, but that one was like, we just kind of stopped the story to tell them all about these different lands, and I think it was the history, and then we're going to go back. It was kind of
he has this really cool ability. He's done this with a few of his books where he'll build like the foundation, this world, like for how the world connects together, and it's fascinating. He's a great world, he's a great world builder. But so for me, it was Manhattan Projects. I think it was what it's called.
Oh yeah, I think I read it first time.
Now, first off, Nick Patera is amazing. Like, honest to God, amazing talent. But you could tell when we got to year 2, someone lost the plot. And based on just my history of reading Jonathan Hickman books, my money was it wasn't Nick Patera. Right? So there you go, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying anything one way or the other. There may come a point somewhere down the road Jonathan Hickman comes on my show. Who knows? But there have been a couple things of his I've read. Red Mass of Mars is another one. The cover to issue 4, it's like, oh, you bastard, you were lazy. And I actually could say that. He has that in him. So when I look at his books, I actually made a bet with like a local comic shop about a book that was supposed to come out, but we asked, the bet was how many issues would it go before the book started being late? And the over-under was 3. I went under, he went over, right? And I won because not even a single issue came out. So it was just like, so I win. I didn't expect to win like that, but I won. So for me, there are creatives like that I will not be quite so forgiving about because, frankly, I know they can do better. I've seen them do better. Nightly News is one of the best like 6-issue minis I've ever read. His Secret Warriors run is actually a bonus like gem. It is just a neat book that just came out. It was really, really good. And I loved what he did with the X-Men. I thought it was a really cool reimagining of the franchise. However, when he's on, he's on. He's really on. There's no question about it. But when he's off and you can tell he's just not there, and he does that with his own books a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm not forgiving. Now, someone I am forgiving about, George Perez. He could literally do a book a year, and I don't care.
Yeah. And
Have you
he
met
might.
George?
Huh?
Have you met George?
No, I've not met George. I do know I have friends that have met George. In fact, I heard a lot of stories about George. George, from what I understand, George Perez is kind of a loud guy.
He's loud, but he's also one of the most. So when I met him, first impression, he was doing a thing for the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. He's drawing Zatanna. Okay, so I'm supposed to interview him. He's drawing. It's an amazing Zatanna. He goes to me. Do you think Zatanna should have a top hat? I ain't telling George Perez shit. I'm sorry, I ain't doing it. Right? I ain't doing it. No. It's like he looked, he punned, and he just did the top hat. He just can't help himself.
Yeah.
And that's like that was. He comes out with a book when he comes out with a book.
Yeah.
And I don't care. He's also in his 60s. I'm not going to like. It takes a lot longer to draw a book after that. When you get to a certain age, I'm not going to hold it against you if it takes longer than somebody. Like, I'm not. Most people aren't. You know what? Like the cool thing about Kickstarter, you can see the work that a lot of creators put into their books.
Oh yeah,
and, you're right. So you can be a lot. Like, again, lateness is forgivable as long as people understand what's going on.
Right.
Right. As long as people understand what's going on, people will forgive you.
If you're going to be late, communicate what's going on, and people will be forgiving. But it's those ones that drop off and you don't hear from them for like a year. You're like, why I haven't heard anything from you.
I'm not going to name names. I have a really funny story. I backed a guy's project literally 10 years ago now or something like that. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So the book just dropped off. Now I totally get personal problems came up and about. At the end of the day, he took my money. Right. So years later, I'm looking for an artist to do my Alice project, just to do cover and some illustrations on the inside. And lo and behold, he shows up looking for work. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I legitimately couldn't. He wasn't going to fit anyway, but it was like, I didn't know what to say because I like, right. And if he's hearing this, yeah, man, like that's why I never responded back to you because I didn't have a good answer. But that's the truth. Like that is I cannot make this up. Like that happened, and it was like he never communicated, and because he never communicated, I don't have the same sympathy. Things happen. I get that things do.
Yeah.
So just come clean. What happened?
That's all it is. And I won't worry too much until we get to that point, to that month that that you're supposed to have it out and it doesn't come out. But other than that, as long as you communicate what's going on, that's fine. I still want the book.
well, again, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
It's not the end of the world. It just being late is almost expected on Kickstarter. It's almost an expectation.
Yeah.
Right. I was excited when because again, printing being what it is, like they a lot. There's a lot of little pieces that can go wrong with doing a book. So there's a lot of little things that have to work out right. I love Rob Multeri's World Pack run is really, really fun. And I just got it like earlier, like right towards the end of last month. I was like, yes, comics. I love it. Right.
His Nightwolf series or what?
It's called it's his Nightwolf. It's not. I think it's called Wolfpack. It's what it's called. I have to go grab them. I'm actually reviewing it soon because Rob and Mog are going to come out.
Yes,
I really loved. Like he has an interesting like. He's got like this old school comic series / like he's got a fun little love triangle. He's got like the old school superhero. Like there's some sub arcs going on. It's really cool. Like what he's doing with that book, and I can't wait to see what him and Mog do. Right. So you know something. I can tell.
I've seen some stuff here and there. And Mog's great. I got to meet Mog at MegaCon. Had a dinner and breakfast with her and her husband and stuff, and so She's a fantastic artist, so it's going to be fantastic. I'll just put it that way.
She came on my drink and draw
Yeah.
episode, on my drink and draw episodes. I drew the Grinch. Like I'm nowhere even close to her. Like I'm not even anywhere near. No, like almost nobody is. Like
Right.
almost nobody is. She is so good, and she doesn't believe it. Like I think that's the most amazing thing about her. Actually, is how good she is, and how like. And if she's listening to this, Mog, I'm sorry. I know you get really, really gung shy when I'm too positive, but it's the truth. You literally make magic on the page. No,
It's
no joke.
It's fantastic.
No joke.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of her prints. When I move back to Calgary, I'm going to be like hanging them on my wall because they're just amazing stuff. Right. So
she'll be in there like talking to my wife on StreamYard or whatever, and you see her drawing, and it just captivates you.
Yeah, no. And I actually can't wait to see what your wife is going to do too at some point, because like very quietly, I think she's a little afraid of me actually.
I told her you said that. I said, you think she's scared of you?
You know what? I've said it to her like a couple times, right? I'm teasing a little bit.
She's got the same thing that Mark does. She does not realize how talented she is.
I think with your significant other, it's a little bit more than that. There's like a very famous quote. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, "It's not that we fear that it's not that we fear that we're weak. We fear that we're powerful. It's not that we are small, that we are giants." Like I'm paraphrasing it. It's not our darkness but our light that terrifies us, because we can do anything.
Yeah.
You can see it with her when or again, even when she's on a show, she tries sometimes to hide in the corner. Sometimes she can't. She's not supposed to, and deep down, she knows it.
Yeah.
Right? Deep down, she knows it. And when people, she just basically, when she gives herself permission just to be herself and not worry about what she does, what impacts she makes, she's going to be incredible. That's the honest, that's my honest assessment of your wife. Is that, yeah.
I agree.
That right?
She's definitely come out of her shell as far as everybody else is concerned. Of course, I've known her for 20 some odd years, but when she hooked up with Meredith, it was like a chemical reaction.
I love how Meredith pushes her. It's great.
But you see, they both work that same way. It's like you can't separate it. Mm-hmm. And this is behind the scenes. I'm telling you, you can't separate it, and which is good. She pushes her, Meredith pushes her, and she pushes Meredith, which I'm excited for, because I'll make my wife try to push Meredith, because we have something that Meredith and I have Reapers we're working on, and so I'm anxious to get that. Really, she's writing it, and I'm designing some of the stuff now, redesigning it. We had a little short of it printed, but it was kind of rushed, so we're just trying to take our time to get it done. So I kind of nudged her to nudge Meredith to get it going. So, but they've got so much stuff, and they are, if at least the beginnings of a powerhouse, I guess, at the very least, if not a powerhouse already.
They are a powerhouse already. They both are. I just interviewed Meredith not too long ago for the show, and she's. I really enjoyed talking to her. She's very, very. I just love how little she gives a shit. That actually, that is my favorite part about her.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoy, like, one of the cool things doing this show is I've met so many amazing people, but one of the biggest things they all have in common is there's just that little bit inside them that just goes, shrug, fuck it. And I love that part about them.
Yeah, I'm getting to that point myself.
Well, you might as well.
Really. Because, like, for instance, with the Facebook thing the other day, I really wasn't going to engage that guy any more than I had, and I got, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to tell you something. You don't have anything anyway.
So for those of you that are wondering what we're talking about, this is what I'm going to mention this.
Yeah.
So this gentleman was posting something about, he's an American citizen, posting about anti-terrorism. So I just innocently, this was before, but Michael started engaging with him before, I should say, he started engaging before I did, but I just instantly asked, wasn't America founded on terrorism? And he was like, you would think, like, and he said something about me being uninformed. It's like, if the uninformed, it would seem that way. Well, let me think. You had a Tea Party. You fought the army, the established army.
What the killer was, nobody got hurt. That was what was.
That was no. Let me get there. Let me get there. This is great, right? Let me get there. So we got to mention the Tea Party. I mentioned, like, right. It's like, it sounds like terrorism to me, right? He goes again. Like, he said something about not finishing high school. So listen, inform me. What is, like, there is a difference. Like, okay. Sure, there is a difference. Please inform me. And that's when you chimed in. He's like, yeah, me too. I'm curious. Right? and then he goes off and mentions that nobody got hurt with the Tea Party. I'm like, no.
Well, that's why I said, what about the shot that you're heard around the world?
And that's when he went silent. It's like, that's when he went silent.
Yeah, right. Because you can't argue it. Like you say, to King George, and we were talking about this in our best, to King George, we were a bunch of rebels that didn't want to pay our taxes, or taxes that we accumulated from the French and Indian War.
But again, if you look at that historically, a penal colony, essentially, a penal colony and a few other undesirables that were being taxed to death.
Mm-hmm.
Terrorized the local authorities until they became the authority.
Right.
That is terrorism. Yeah. I mean, no matter, like, legally speaking.
But, I mean, from what did they say? Oh, they weren't. How did they say it? You weren't. They weren't trying to. Terrorists don't try to form a government or some.
I know. You didn't say that. I was like, sure, that's not their goal at all.
No.
Then I pointed out, last thing I pointed out to him is, like, terrorism happens for two reasons. The first is to grab power.
Yeah.
Simplest reason is often Occam's razor. Simplest reason is often the and that is very often that's what it's about. Yeah. The second reason, though, is when a group, when citizens feel like they're no longer being listened to or respected by their own government, sooner or later people take matters into their own hands.
Yeah.
That's human nature. The more a government forces people to do things they don't want to do, and inevitably people are going to backlash against that. Now, it starts peaceful, but eventually it doesn't become peaceful anymore. Right.
Yeah.
And that's when you can see, like, terrorism, lots of like infighting, civil wars. That's where it goes.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, that's what the whole post was. They were relating what happened on January 6th to Lee Harvey Oswald and John Wilkes Booth. They thought they were patriots. Like, well, no. No, they didn't. They didn't think that they were patriots. They thought John Wilkes Booth was a Confederate sympathizer. He wasn't interested in becoming being part of the United States anymore. He wasn't a patriot of the United States in that sense. Or Lee Harvey Oswald was supposedly a Soviet Union sympathizer and a communist. He wasn't. If he was trying to do anything, he wasn't trying to be a patriot of the country. And that's what the whole thing was. Is you were comparing something You're just naming off notorious names to compare him to somebody that did what they did on January 6th. It really wasn't the same thing
No,
at all.
but it's like I said, just like that's how we became friends, ladies and gentlemen. I asked a really funny question. He laughed at my question because it was a very good question.
Yeah. Well, because we got to, we went to, somebody said we went to the school of trolls.
Yeah.
But
here's the thing. Here's the best part. I wasn't even trying to troll him, right? That was the best part, right?
It was crazy. It was crazy because all I did was ask a question, and they got mad. Just off the bat, they got mad about it because you made your assumptions. So obviously, you're the one that had the problem.
Like a little like this is a very obvious thing about me. I'm not afraid to look stupid. I have looked stupid. I will look stupid in the future. This is life.
Yeah.
Right? I am openly, I can be wrong. There are things I don't understand. I have a microphone and a big mouth. I don't necessarily have the answers to everything in life.
No.
I'm just smart enough to ask questions.
Right.
And I have an opinion. Much like an asshole, I have an opinion. So I have both.
Right.
And some would argue I am an asshole. But that's okay. That's another podcast. But what it comes right down to is you don't have to asking a question isn't necessarily like trolling. It's just I want to know where you're coming from.
Right.
Like again, off the top of my head, I could think of two big differences he could have pointed out. And if he had, and then different conversation, right? You can have a reasonable conversation with people and disagree with them, and it's okay. I don't need to be agreed with.
Right.
I just what people really want is to be understood.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
If you're willing to let people get their piece out, and here's the thing, if you let people be understood, there's less of a chance they're going to be angry at you if you disagree with them. There's going to be far less of a chance. Because they will at least feel listened to. That's huge.
That's it. I actually had somebody mad at me because I agreed with them the other day. Something. And I said, I agreed with them. They said, "Did you just read half of that sentence?" I said, "No, I was agreeing with you." "Oh, well, I applaud you for your trying to appease everyone." I'm like, "Well, you asshole." You know what? But then those are the people that's like, okay, those are the people that will find their way off my friend list. I'm not quick to unfriend somebody just because we have a difference of opinion and we disagree. It could be even an erroneous thing that I think is horrible that you disagree with. But I don't just unfriend you for that. You don't win people over by hating them. That's just how that is. Mm-hmm. But when you're to the point where no matter what I say to you and you're just going to be argumentative, I don't have time for you. That's just how it is.
Well, it's that ability to compromise and listen, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to agree on everything. Sometimes you're going to be right. Sometimes I'm going to be right.
Right.
Sometimes it's just an opinion.
It's just an opinion, right?
Right. And I'll still have a beer with you. I don't give a shit that much. Right?
If everybody agrees with everybody, it's kind of a boring world.
Oh yeah, it is. No, it's a very boring. Look, I want that hardcore Satanist, practicing summoning demons in his basement, but likes good beer. I'm good with that. I like keep it in your basement, but we're good. I mean, I'm all right? But we're good.
We don't use it at Baja, so
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Like, I'm not here. I'm not here in this. I'm here in this life to live it. I'm not here to. When I was younger, I was a lot more judgmental. Now that I'm older / wiser, something, right? I recognize the fact that the world doesn't revolve around how I think.
Right.
It should. No, I'm kidding. But
Those
it
opinions
really
you have
shouldn't.
there.
I'm not. I am certainly not the. I'm certainly not the benefit of sanity in this world. But what
Yeah.
I do think is that I'm open to listen. I'm open to learn. I might still think you're full of shit at the very end. I might think, you know what, I don't. Or at the very least, I'm not going to say full of shit. That's the wrong way to put it. I might disagree with your opinion. I might disagree with even how you came to that conclusion. But I'm at least going to hear you out. Because
Right.
because that's, that's out. Because chances are, because I don't come at people like with a typical answer. You might not come at me with one either. And if you don't, I might learn something.
Right.
And I might get a friend out of this.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Like I was talking about Brian Augustine earlier. We had a difference of opinion, sent him a friend request. He accepted a friend request. Like now we're like minds in the sense that we could disagree and still be friends.
Yeah. No, and that's cool. Like I said, I just think like my very first interaction with Brian, my actual first interaction with him was he shit on my opinion about what the show was without actually hearing it. That literally was my first interaction with it.
Yeah, see, that's a little more personal than the.
Well, again, it's not that he disagreed with it. He just outright, and then he literally got correct. Someone else told him like, no, that's actually a really good way to describe the show. It's actually accurate. And like I said, he may not even remember that, but I do because I grew up. I read his stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So,
that's what happened because when he came up, I was talking to somebody about Mark Waid. And I'll even admit that I was probably wrong from where I was coming from about that because I don't know Mark Waid personally. I have no idea how he actually is. I'm just saying, I'm just judging. I told him, I'm just going by what I see. That's all I could tell you. And I might be wrong. And you know it personally, whatever. And he shows up and I'm like, wait a minute, is this the same guy? Is this who I think it is? Like, oh, yeah, I might have kept my opinion to myself for a little years.
So I'm just gonna ask, what was your opinion on Waid?
Oh wait, just his lately his writing has really reflected his agenda, I guess.
Yeah,
And instead of coming off as in like because Brian said no, Mark has always had his principles. I said that might be true, but I said the way he's come off lately is not that he's trying to convey his principles. You know how you can write and you can express and teach through writing, but then there's surface stuff. And the way he's been lately said it seems more like it's not about principles, but it's because he doesn't like somebody or around him.
I don't know if his stuff's personal attacks per se. I think
no.
Here's what I think about Waid right now. Like legitimately, I think Mark Waid. Okay, this is gonna sound even more controversial in one sense. I think Mark Waid. I'm hoping he's doing a lot more than comics. He loves comics and stuff like that, but to me, I think he needs a new almost like a new challenge somewhere else. Okay, so my favorite Mark Waid stuff, Kingdom Come, is without a doubt going to be one of the greatest like comics of all time. It's amazing. I loved his run. I loved a lot of things he did on Fantastic Four. His stuff with Barry Kitson is incredible. Like anything he's done with Barry's been good. I even enjoyed the first year of his Legion of Superheroes run. I thought that was really good. Irredeemable is amazing, right? I think Irredeemable is an incredible book. But at some point, like it's like I kind of look at this. If you want to write a political, like books with a lot of political stuff or a lot of a particular mindset stuff, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
but I don't know if I want that in my Captain America. I don't know if I want that in my Black Panther or my like in an established property, because the thing about, again, this goes back to like the concept of Would Spider-Man in real life have political opinions? Sure, he would.
Yeah.
Absolutely would. But in a fictional context, Spider-Man is best when he's discovering things on his own.
Yeah.
Right? That's when Spider-Man, you can tell the best Spider-Man stories. Now, it's not realistic in terms of an adult. We all have our opinions of what politics are. Like in my case, I'm a political atheist. That's just I'm an atheist. I don't believe in the political system at this point as currently constructed. Some days I look at it and I want to drink a lot. That's another that's another podcast.
Yeah.
But but the thing is, there are people that truly believe that a certain way of thinking, a certain way of being, and you got to write about what you're passionate about. And and Mark has always come across to me as someone that deliberately has wanted to change the world for the better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right. That's how Mark. That's what Mark. I think that's Mark's intention. I think the problem is like it's like me preaching about God. I believe in God. No, right? Not everybody does. So I can go that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and people will go. And if you don't believe in him, you're going to hell. And if I do, right.
Yeah.
And if I do that, like, look at your reaction was just said it there.
Because the issue comes in, because I understand the truth about that.
Yeah.
And that's not, I hate when that's generalized that way, because it's not.
No, it's absolutely, no.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it very simple for the point I'm illustrating here, right? For the point I'm illustrating here.
Which I see all the time happen. Trust me.
No. There are some fire and brimstone ministers that I would really love to just like. That's neither here nor there. That's another.
I was a Pentecostal preacher for a little bit. So
yo. Okay, so yeah, so you could have a really fun one.
Yeah.
But right, and politics is the same way. It's not that black and white or simple either. But the thing is, it's very easy when you come across and talk about things like God or politics or concepts of what you think the truth is. Truth divides by its very nature, but you can present it in a way that I can talk about why I believe God is the way and the truth and the life. And I can do it in a way that someone can be very comfortable and tell me I disagree.
Yeah.
And as long as I have that comfort there, right? That comfort's the wrong word. As long as that caveat's there, people will be okay if I go in that direction, right?
Right.
Same with politics. As long as there's that freedom to disagree, right? People will go with it. It's when it becomes definitively one way or it feels like one way. And if you're not this way, you're selfish, you're this, you're that, it turns people off. Right. And I feel he's gone closer to that mark than he did in the past.
Well, I guess it reminds me of a line in talking about the Jesus thing, and I'll bring it back around. So stay with me.
Okay, I'll stay with you.
There was a musician named Jude. He had a song called Prophet. And in the song, he said he didn't trust the Jesus freaks when all they want to seem like they want to win. And I think that's the case, is you're not trying to prove a point to change anything. You sound more like you're trying to prove that you're right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue that it comes with. That's how he's gotten to. And it might be his passion has taken over and he's trying to prove that he's right, but it's not coming off.
No, that's fair.
As I think he wants it to, maybe.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Because Mark has always stood up for what he's believed in. That like right, wrong, or indifferent. Like that is one thing I will say about that man. He always has.
Yeah.
It's just it's very much. It shouldn't be about winning. Right. It should just be about communicating. Like there's like if I was trying to convert somebody to a particular faith, I don't win if they convert. I don't lose if they don't.
Right.
All I can now do is put a message out there. That's it.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent. It's up to the person that gets that message what to do with it.
Right.
I don't win if they convert. I don't lose if they don't.
Right.
All I can do is, but I hope where I gain and I lose ultimately is understanding.
Yeah. and I think that's what that's what we're dealing with a lot in the social media atmosphere, is that there's people are afraid to be wrong. They want to prove that they're right, and anybody that threatens their rightness, they get very emotional about it real quick.
Mhm.
And go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, it's very real. Like it's a very real thing, and I don't really care about winning. Do you know what I really care about? Like chocolate or vanilla. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
I like chocolate. Really,
Okay, there you go.
really good.
That's cool. I'm a vanilla guy, but we can still be friends. There's no like that's
If you don't like taste, I do. It's all right. It's all
yeah. I'll have them both together. Like I'll have them both together, and
yeah.
that can be incredibly fun, right? Add a little mint, and you can do some really cool things. Right? That was
Oh,
chocolate
mint,
vanilla ice
come
cream.
on. No, mint.
I'm not talking mint ice cream. I'm actually talking real mint.
Real mint?
Like
Oh, like
yeah,
like the candies they used to have with the. Was
well,
it like?
no, because see, here's the thing. Like peppermint is an oxidizer. So you put anything with peppermint,
Yeah,
it makes it stronger, like significantly stronger. So if I want to like enhance the flavor, like take hot sauce, right? Take some hot sauce, put a couple drops, put like a little bit of mint in it. You make it go boom. You put right, it makes it even hotter. It's like
try that.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's true.
but I can see that. Yeah, I can see that because mint kind of has that. It opens you up. It opens
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
it oxidizes everything.
yeah.
When you oxidize stuff, you actually yeah, just note to self, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a doctor. Do not try any of this at home. Or actually, I'm not going to lie to you. All I'm going to say is do if anything I say, do at your own risk. Beyond that, God bless you. I love you. So, right. But, no. So like, no, I still do this when I'm working late. I'll put mint in my coffee because it will make it so coffee. And here's a cool thing, right? You take mint and coffee and you add like a little honey or like a little like even maple syrup, one of the two.
Yeah.
You have an anti-asthmatic that will actually make you more alert than ever. And all you did was just put you take a basic thing like coffee, you take a basic thing like peppermint. The only reason you're using the sweetener is because holy shit, is that strong, right? Right, right.
You
But
just threatened it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like that's it. That's just the thing, right? You have to understand, right? Like and everything we're talking about and stuff. Again, we're not about everybody being the same. Everybody's
Yeah.
supposed to be different.
Yeah.
That's what makes life so fun. Like I will never meet a person like you ever again.
That's right. I'm
That's a
sure
cool
of it.
thing, right?
No, because no matter how like somebody might be, they're going to have something different than the other person. But that's
Yeah.
good. That's good. I, especially if you're creative. The idea of, of course,
Hey, Nita.
yeah. Hmm.
Well,
I'm not a chocolate mint person.
it's okay. So now I know how to bribe Nita. It's great. Now I know how to bribe her. It's
But
when I
no,
do meet you in
thanks a lot. Now I forgot what I was saying.
the trolls are here.
Oh,
No,
so
it
that's
was
what
about the fact of
Dr.
everybody being
talking about.
different. Everybody like is that comes in like everybody has different ways of looking at the universe.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. As a creative, you have to learn. You want to learn. That's how you progress. So being open to other people's opinions, being open to what other people have to say, helps you do that. It helps you to expand. It helps you to grow. Uh, Especially as a writer, you want to know other people's opinions because that's how you can write your characters, whether they be heroes or they be villains.
Oh, villains are absolutely the best when they're actually right.
Oh yeah,
They're right. They're Magneto's my favorite X-Men villain because
yeah,
he's right.
I can see that. Yeah,
He's right on a lot of ways. He's right. Now he's not right on everything, but he has a legitimate point, and you can see where he's coming from with some of what he's been through.
yeah,
Right?
Oh
he's
yeah,
interesting, right?
yeah.
Right, he's
It,
interesting. Whereas I'm a Green Lantern guy. The original Sinestro was not that interesting. He was
yeah,
he
I
was
don't know too much, but I know who Sinestro is, but I don't know that much.
so in the old I actually have the Silver Age Green Lantern books. In the old days, he still was a former Green Lantern that got exiled for being too much of a tyrant. He had like the Hitler stash. He had the yellow ring that makes fear. Oh
Yeah,
my god! Oh
yeah.
yeah, he like mustache twirling villain was Sinestro when he
Sinestro.
first
Okay.
showed up. Right? They made
Yeah.
him more devilish, like when he got from like the 70s to the 80s.
They started
Right?
giving him the goatee, right?
Yeah. Well, no, the goatee didn't happen until Jeff Johns brought him back in the 2000s.
Okay.
Right? But he was he was made more interesting when Jeff took him. I mean, I think that was the best thing about Jeff's run was actually he made Semester more than just the mustache twirling supervillain that you knew and maybe slightly pitied when you first read him way back in the day. Right?
But see, that's one character that I had never explored was Green Lantern.
Yeah.
My knowledge of Green Lantern, besides his being Hal Jordan, is pretty much related to Super Friends. That's a,
You know what? That's okay. That's
yeah.
okay.
I had a friend though who was a big Green Lantern. He even had the lantern,
Oh, that's
and you
cool.
put the ring in.
I wish.
Yeah, he didn't have
My
to say the same though. So
yeah, my thing is my thing with that is, I mean, you don't have to worry about the Green Lantern movie. I have that to my credit / shame. I mean, it's a great Deadpool gag later,
oh
but
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's like
yeah. See, I never watched it. I was warned not to watch it.
it's a good warning. It's a good warning. It hurt a
Yeah,
lot.
but I can but see, I understand the appeal of that character, and while I never got into him per se, I can kind of the whole Green Lantern Corps and everything. It's just because I've never taken the time to sit down and actually.
So for me, the appeal is twofold. Okay, seriously, you got a ring that can wish for anything and make it happen. That's damn cool. That is damn cool. Number
Yeah, yeah,
two, overcoming fear.
yeah,
That is a big part of life,
yeah,
right? And so you got a guy that's literally built to beat the crap out of fear, and he's got a ring that wishes for with a ring that can wish for anything. So it's like that's just a cool concept, and
yeah.
I grew up
Oh
like that's
yeah,
what I grew up. That was my superhero growing up reading. Maybe part of the reason why I'm halfway as crazy as I am. It's all good though.
but no, but see, yeah, there's I can see the appeal to Green Lantern
Oh yeah.
versus other things. I
We
can't think
should
of
probably
anybody.
talk about your books at some point, shouldn't we?
I don't have anything really that's nothing that's out yet. That's the bad thing. I'm
Ah.
working I'm working on art for Arrow Comics for Calico and Shard, but right now I don't have anything.
Ah.
Yeah. And then when
Is
we're
it?
working on with Meredith, I talked about Reapers earlier. Decided to
Yeah.
get that, but
Well, I guess then we'll go this way, and then we gotta have you come back. You gotta come. Listen. Apparently, I'm good at drawing skulls. What do you think?
there you go.
So, true story behind that one is so I'm leaving for Calgary probably by the end of this week, and before things get really crazy, I want to just go be with people I care about and try to help them in this crazy time. Is kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But no, so I drew my sister a couple days ago, right? What are you shocked about, Jag?
They can show you a skull.
Yeah, yeah. So here's the thing, right? So I've been drawing with artists for almost a year now, and some really good ones. I am genuinely, yeah, weak. Jag, I don't, I want to be where I'm going to be before the mandates really click in. Yeah, I want to be where the week before the mandates kick in, because no matter what happens, that's going to be a gong show for months, easy. So, we're not going to go there tonight, but I'm banking on a gong show, and I don't think that's an unsafe bet at this point in time. Especially considering what I've been seeing happen down with you guys with Southwest Airlines. So I'm expecting something like that here eventually. So before it gets to that point, you go where I'm gonna go. Yeah, no, it's just it's but to tell my story.
Is there that much tension up there? Is that
so Canada is this is my opinion completely at this point. I look at Australia and we're not quite there, but we have a similar mindset overall to what Australia had when the pandemic started. And so we're going to go one of two ways. We are going to go either we're going to have a few months of insanity. I feel we're going to wake up and hopefully walk away from these vax passes and everything that comes with it. Or we could go completely off the deep end, and who the hell knows, right? We were talking about this off the air. I just wrote a paper. I'm almost done writing a paper about comparing 1930s Germany with North America. Yeah. And that is, the similarities are yikes. Like, yikes.
Yeah.
Right? Each country in slightly different ways, but yikes. No, it totally is. And Canada, there is a chance Canada could go that direction. It's the ingredients are there. Canadians right now, there's a lot of Canadians that are for what's happening up here right now. There's not every Canadian is for it, but there's a lot. I'm not sure. There's a point there, and then this happened in Australia too. When mandates started coming down in Australia, the Australians were for them at first. They were for them. They wanted all this stuff gone.
Yeah.
Right. It's hitting kind of hard, right? Like the Aussies are no longer quite so in favor of what's happening over there right now because the mandates kept going deeper, darker.
Yeah.
Right. So Canada has the ability. I'm not going to say it's going to happen. That I actually agree with that. But the thing is, this is the thing about Canada's history, regardless of like whatever you may think. We haven't had the same history of our governments deliberately screwing with us that a lot of other countries had.
Mm-hmm.
You guys don't trust your government openly. And the more Biden's pushing, the more you guys are basically like, those middle fingers are getting like higher and higher, and other things are happening. And like I said, watching what's going on down there, it's like, ooh, this is good. This could, like, I think at some point someone's going to tap Grandpa Joe on the shoulder and say, you need to stop this.
Yeah.
All right. Or someone's going to shoot you. Right.
Yeah.
All right. But, and that could happen down there. That legitimately could happen down there. Us, we are more trusting of, we were always taught to believe in peace, order, and good government. That sense of order is a big part of Canadian identity. It really, really is. Right. So what I think, so there's a point, I think, in terms of rights and thoughts where there's going to hit a boiling point, I think, with the way things are going to, what I think is going to happen this winter is going to be quite devastating. I think the initial thing, what happens in situations like this is there's always what I call a Salem witch trial effect, but sooner or later that wears off. And when it does, people, I think, are going to realize kind of what's going on. Yeah. And at that point, we're going to see what happens when it does. That's kind of how I see it working out.
Yeah.
Right? I hope it's sooner than later.
Yeah.
Right? But again, I can't say it. Like, we are going to go through a very crazy time, no matter where you are in the world for the next couple of years, right?
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah. So
It's
I mean,
it's scary.
there's right, but like that's so. What awful example to use? The witch hunt? No, that's fair. Jag.
But no, because that's what you have. Like down here, as you know, you have your mask and no mask, vaccine, no vaccine, and in fact, you could again back. I really don't harp on it that much, but like social media, that's constantly you're being inundated by people one way or another with their opinions and their memes and stuff like that, and you're killing people by not being vaccinated, or you're killing people by not wearing a mask, and
No, it doesn't make Jag. It doesn't make me happy. The article I wrote, it actually gave me the idea. I'll say this on the air. When I saw the premier and Joe Biden and the premier of Saskatchewan both literally quote Joseph Goebbels. They quoted him, right? The only difference was what was said. So in a 1933 speech, when after Hitler just became chancellor, Goebbels was in plain clothes, and he basically goes, Jews, our patience is wearing thin. Joe Biden said to the unvaccinated, our patience is wearing thin. The governor, the premier of Saskatchewan said the exact same thing. Right? And I mentioned this off the air, Jag, and this is, you want to go really down the deep, dark rabbit hole? So the vaccine passport blockchain is made by IBM. IBM is also the company that made the original punch cards for the Jews for the Germans back in the late 30s. There is a certain full circle thing happening right now. And you can see the pattern if you want to look. It sucks. It really, really does. But it's there, and you can't deny it. Is foolhardy at this point. A lot of Canadians still don't see it, but they will. One way or the other, they will see it. Yeah, most people don't know that, but it's the truth.
I didn't know it till you said it.
Yeah, but it's the truth, right? You can if you.
I think I remember hearing that IBM had did that with the.
There's a very famous book. It came out in 2001. It basically showed IBM's connection to the punch cards.
Yeah.
I'll link it at the very. It's a horrifying book, right? It's horrifying, right?
Yeah.
But it shows you exactly how it could be done and how and why it could be done. And yeah, it's one of the reasons I'm very anti-vax pass. It's not like it's just you see what this is. It's like, yeah, we shouldn't be going in this direction at all.
No. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and we are here. This is the time we're in. This is the time. This is where we're at, and this is where we might go. So that's one of the other reasons I'm quietly going to Calgary, because if push really came to shove, I could disappear. Right. So right. So it's I don't like thinking like that, but again, you see what the writing's on the wall. It's like you can just see it. You can see it. So that's depressing.
Yeah. But especially after everything that just happened this past year and the election and the write-in votes and everything, and no matter where you stand on it, that's something that's scary all the way around. And
so, do you want me to spin it to the interesting flip side? There's actually a really good chance of some good coming out of this. And I'll give you this.
Some good.
Yeah, I'll give you some good.
That's a happier note.
Well, okay, so this is what we should be fighting for. Okay, you and I are having a wonderful conversation. Your wife is, talking about the importance of chocolate mint ice cream, and I have a friend in Ottawa right now who's an amazing writer and gamer in her own right. One could argue we've started a community. What is a community other than a group of people getting together and gathering people together, right? So in a world with technology like this, what does a city actually look like? Let's go another level. Social media, the bad part about this, right? Social media aside, the good part is this. I can get information through social media I can't get on the mainstream news.
Yeah.
I can find information in places I never would have in an era of television. So the question there is, what is the media? What's the point of media? Let's go deeper. We have crypto and blockchains.
Mm-hmm.
What do we need the current banking system for? So if you think about it in those terms, and if you see about it in those ways, we are at a precipice of this culture as we knew it prior was coming to an end anyway. And what this simply is to quote a Bible verse, for the new to come, the old must first pass. What we're seeing right now is we're seeing the passing of what has come before.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where does it go is up to us. Will we communicate? Will we understand? Will we treat everybody with respect, dignity, love, kindness, and decency? Or will we, get into our fears and darker aspects of nature? Because that's the real question. That's the real battle. Forget COVID, forget the vaccine, forget the past. Fuck all that. What this is about is who are we going to be going forward?
Yeah.
That's entirely up to us. And we have the power to go any way we choose. We can see it. You can see you can see it. The future is now. You got to remember something. When the printing press came along, it changed the whole balance of power because everybody could read and communicate. The internet has done the same thing. Technology has gotten to the point. See, you can make a book for cheap. Compared to what publishing was 30 years ago, books are very cheap to make now.
Doesn't even have to be physical.
Right?
Yeah.
Me and Nita are broadcasters. Nita is an amazing broadcaster in her own right. She has a fun show with Meredith. She's talking comics all the time. I'm just making an ass of myself because I'm good at it. Right? And all of this to absolutely say is that right now we live in a world, in spite of all this darkness coming in, closing in, it is the sunset of an old day and a new one is about to dawn. And we can choose what that looks like. We don't have to do our governments are obsolete. Seriously, think about that for a minute. They are. Their community doesn't have the lines on a map anymore. A community can be anywhere all over the world. Doesn't matter, right? So you don't need, again, you still need services like military and police, but you don't need them to the same degree that came in the past.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need the same thing anymore. So now, instead of fighting each other over whether to wear a mask, or instead of fighting each other over about a vaccine that, okay, whatever, right? The real fight should be, who are my people? How can we connect to each other? How can we do good things for each other in this time and place? That's the real battle. Do you like that?
Yeah, Well, yeah, because that kind of goes. I was thinking the other day about this is a whole online is just a whole nother. It's a society.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to wrap your head around a society not being something that you can physically interact with as far as outside. You walk out, and I go to work every day, and but you're in Canada. I'm all the way down in Louisiana, and I mean, look, when we were younger, that wasn't possible except for like long distance phone calls.
You remember those phones? We used to go like,
yeah.
I remember those.
The rotary dial, yeah.
What a long way we've come in such a short time. So now, what we really got to do is we got to get rid of the garbage and crap that's trying to keep us, back in the Stone Ages, right?
Yeah.
That's what we got to do. But people got to realize what the real game is, right?
Right.
This is right. What I'm talking about is the real game, right? Start playing there, and and suddenly no one can stop you.
And but you see, but you also have to deal with those who want to stand in your way, those who want to silence you. Like for instance, like say your Facebook stuff, and they're suspending you for saying something or whatever the case is. Uh, you have to venture out. You have to look.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing, right? Everything has a time and a place. Twitter had a time and a place. It's kind of going its own direction now,
Yeah.
right? Facebook is still prevalent, but there are things out there that are being built and constructed. Someday it too will be replaced.
Yeah.
None of these things last forever. That's the nature of this world
Right.
we live in. So here's the thing, right? I don't have to cooperate. That's the best thing about this world. I don't, and you laugh because you know deep down where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
I don't have to play by the rules. And they can silence me inevitably. I mean, they can kill me eventually if we get right down to it. But you know what the best part about that is?
It's over. It's done.
Yeah, I don't gotta deal with this shit no
Don't worry
more.
about it
Right?
anymore.
Right? So
Oh, I'm glad to hear you say that because I thought that was just me.
no. So one of my favorite songs right now is by a gentleman by the name of Richard Mullins. If I stand, let me stand on the promise that you'll pull me through.
Yeah.
Right? I love that. That song is beautiful. But the thing is, it's like, this is the time to say stuff. This is the time to, if you feel like there's something wrong in the world, now's the time to say it. Because this isn't about wins or losses. It's about who you are in the moment of time. Who do you want to be? Because the rest of this shit doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
You have your dignity, you have your integrity, and you have your self-respect. That's it. Everything else in this life, it comes and goes. Those you must fight for.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think for me personally, with what's coming, I'm okay. I'm just gonna stand where I stand, and I'm gonna let the chips fall where they may, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, you can't. Whatever's coming is coming. You can't do
That's
anything.
it. No, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm going to stand and I'm going to be true to who I am. I think I'll close with this. I've said the story in the past, but the story I think you'll enjoy. When the pandemic first happened, I was in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I was taking a bus and 2 trains to go to work every single day. And every day I got to watch Vancouver evaporate overnight in terms of like bustling people who were joking about the seriousness of COVID and then eventually just disappear to nothing. But I'm still going to work. I'm still trying to do what I'm trying to do. And I'm watching. I still remember. I'm actually wondering about this right now. There was a Jugo juice I would get my smoothie, like a protein style shake before I'd go to work. Right. And on the last days, it was just a father with a daughter and 2 daughters, and he's not sure what to do. And you can see it on his face. He's scared. He doesn't know what to do. Like because he's got his kids to worry about,
Yeah.
but everybody thinks shutting down. Like there's like a legitimate
Yeah.
and I get it. I got it. I remember that. Like that. I secretly hope they're doing okay. Like because they were really good people.
Yeah.
And I remember going home. Like I would work till about. So my work didn't like me very much because I was too happy. Go figure. And so they would make me stay an extra half hour because they could, and I just didn't give a damn. Right. So and that was they so I would leave at 11:30 at night, and I'd catch the train and I'd go home. And so I had transferring trains. This guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, like I think he's homeless. He's dirty. He's covered all over in grime and stuff like that." I kind of made my peace with the virus, like because if I'm going outside, I'm taking a risk no matter what. This is before the mask or all that stuff. And he asked me, did I have like a pen like this to draw? Because he's got like a bad paper. He just wants to draw while he's going on the train because he's going to work. I didn't. He's like, oh man, that's all cool. And he holds his fist out like this. And for just a minute, I hesitated. And I'm actually a little ashamed I did. But I mean, that's because it was one of those moments and it just hit me. Like it was just for a minute, just for a second, but it just hit me. A question, is a hug worth dying for? Came into my head. And then I realized how cruel this time was going to be. Yeah. It's been a very cruel time. But much like anything else in life, I realized something very important. Who do I want to be in this time? What kind of person do I want to be in this time? And for me, I just realized I'm going to be a kind one. So I just bumped them right back and just wished them well. Human contact, a little thing. That's the shit that matters. Who are you in the moments, not when it's easy, but when it's hard?
Yeah.
I think you like that story.
Yeah, that's it. And that's when you find out who you are.
Mm-hmm.
At those times, what you do, sometimes involuntary. Sometimes it's involuntary.
Yeah. Sometimes. But sometimes it's up to you.
Yeah.
I've had a few situations in my life where it's been up to me. And it's interesting because in those moments, there's no judgment. It's really up to you. No one's going to tell you yay or nay. It's who do you want to be?
Yeah.
It's recognizing what those moments are. And you don't win every one of them.
No.
But if you're aware of them, sometimes you do really profound stuff in those moments. And it's really cool. So
yeah.
I think I scored some points with you.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that we're talking like this because that's stuff that I myself have been dealing with lately. Yeah. On who do I want to be? So.
Do you mind would you like an opinion from an asshole on a microphone?
I always take an opinion.
Okay.
Maybe not an asshole, but opinion.
Well, okay. I'll give you an opinion from an asshole, right? Because then we'll go from there. There's a very fine line. I think you and your significant other, I'm sure she's there, are walking. Because the thing I get from both of you is that you really do give a shit. You both care about people around you. You want to help as many people as you can.
Yeah.
Right? The flip side is you have to have some kind of boundary. Because especially in a time like this, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to try to take advantage of you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really hard to discern who's who. Right? Not all of us are Solomon the Wise.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I have a rule. It's a really simple rule. I will listen to what anyone says and I will believe everything they tell me until their actions say otherwise. The moment their actions say otherwise, I back off. I have fired clients for this. Right?
Yeah.
It's a very big line with me. Right? Do what you say you're going to do, or if shit happens, you just man up.
Yeah.
I'll understand. Like, I really will. It's your character I'm measuring. I don't care if you succeed. I just care that you try.
Yeah.
That's my rule. You got to figure out what that rule is for you. Once you have that rule nailed down, you'll be just fine. And so will your wife. So, because once you have that rule, stick with it. it will protect you. Because somehow I don't think either of you can help the fact that I don't think either of you can help the fact that I think you are who you are. I think Nina would take the shirt off her back to help her, and I think you're the same way. But I also feel like, and I again seen just a couple posts from her. You guys have been burned a bit lately.
Yeah.
So again, I don't need to know the details. It doesn't matter. What matters is, like, again, what happened? Where were the words and where were the actions different? And can you see what those signs are? If you can, make a rule, follow it. If you can't, then you have to ask yourself this question: how many times are you willing to get hurt? It's okay if you don't have the full answer to that question. But how many times are you willing to get hurt by an individual before you let them go? And sometimes letting them go is actually the kindest thing you can do.
Yeah.
Even if their pride does not understand what you're doing at the time, sometimes it is the only thing you can do.
Stop it, Josh. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I'll take that opinion.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, definitely. It's good advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
You find that in the past, let's say I've been in this for about a year. Yeah, really, and Nita's coming up on her year into all this.
Congrats to you both, by the way.
Yeah, and it's amazing how I was just telling my friend at work. We've worked together for 12 years now, and I said, in the past year, there's been three people or three incidents at least that I said I never had this in anything in a year. Three things in a year. Like it's crazy to me. You get burned maybe once a year, once twice a year, or once every other year, or something like that. But this whole thing, society or community or whatever the case is, some of it, it amazes you that you want to think the best of people,
mm-hmm.
and it's disheartening when you find that you can't all the time, or you can't continue thinking the best of somebody when they prove to you otherwise. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
When you get burned, it's been multiple times, right? This is the hard part. This is the analytical. I don't have an emotional investment tied into this, and that might not be an easy thing to do right this minute. But somewhere point down the line, you look at those three things, ask yourself what they have in common.
Yeah.
Because if it's happening that often, that means there's usually a really important lesson there you guys need to learn. It's important. It's important enough that it's happened multiple times. Now, maybe it's the person you're working with. That's possibility number one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? If it's different people doing the same thing to you, then it's definitely that's more of a sign of a gut check in the mirror. Because right?
I agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a gut check in the mirror. If it's a bit of column A, a bit of column B, you have to figure out the commonality. That's the important thing, right? Because not every incident's the same, as you well know, but also they're not usually that different either.
Yeah.
My fuck ups are generally universal lessons I need to learn.
Yeah.
And that's what I have noticed in my life. And so I would imagine it's not that different with you guys. Now they're different fuck ups, right? But there are,
I think there are 3 words in my life. No, 4. I'm sorry. 4 words in my life that has gotten me into more trouble, but it's not something that I'm willing to let go. And that's benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's like if I don't give somebody the benefit of the doubt, I can protect myself. But if I don't give somebody the benefit of the doubt, I could be wrong. About somebody.
So, so okay. So I'm going to do this from a freelancing perspective. Just we're gonna do this from a freelancing
All
perspective.
right.
Okay. There are 4 reasons I will fire your ass as a freelancer to my client. The one that's the hardest to quantify and the one I'm the most willing to be forgiving about. So actually, there's 2 I'm very forgiving about. There's 2 I'm not. The one I'm most forgiving about is you're just not ready. That's fair. You know what?
Yeah.
There are jobs I take I'm not ready for, and I get fired for them, and it's okay. It's the most forgivable of all the offenses. It's the one where everybody just needs some time.
Yeah.
Give a little bit more time. You try it again down the road. Maybe we see what we've learned, right?
Right.
That's the most forgivable. That's the one that is very easy to forgive. Sometimes it sucks, but it's easy to forgive. Emotional instability. That one is much harder to quantify because for everybody that could be a little different thing. Everybody's suffering from a little PTSD right now. So it's not unheard of to have people having depression or mood swings or mourning, grief. So it's that one's. So you have to kind of quantify where the headspace of the people you're at are at. That's not always easy to do.
Yeah.
It's not always easy to do. So you gotta tread that one kind of carefully. But there's also a point you gotta look at: is this draining me dry? Because you don't want, right? And you have to cut bait when you realize that it's not something you can healthily carry yourself. Also can be very forgivable though too. Like that one requires the most soul searching.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can see that.
Unforgivable mistake number 1. They don't listen to me. And I'm going to repeat. I'm going to quantify this one very simple. If I give advice to you and you don't take it, that doesn't mean it doesn't necessarily mean it's a fireable offense. If I'm giving you advice and you decide to go a different direction, you're the client, I'm the freelancer, and that's fine. But if you expect the same result going this way than what I was going to give you, the answer is no. It's not going to happen. So that is something that, and again, if I'm being blamed for you not listening to me to do something, I'm not going to take that shit from you. I'm just not.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Now, again, they don't have to listen to everything you say, but they have to at least respect what you say.
Right.
Which leads to number 4, right? Which is, okay, they don't give you the information you request to do the job. It's very similar to number 2, but it's not quite the same thing. But those 2 are the most unforgivable for me because here's why. They don't respect me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They don't. Because if they did respect me, again, to the second point, number 2, again, reverse order, by the way, of levels of forgiveness.
I'm following you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Reverse order of levels of forgiveness. I will
We're
forgive you're not ready.
1 and 2. Forgivable. Yeah.
2 is more forgivable than 1,
right.
But only just. Because again, at the end of the day, I'm doing service for a client. Yeah. And also sometimes the client's right. You're not always right yourself. Again, being open to learn, it's forgive as long as there's respect. That's the thing there. Yeah. With number 1, there is no respect whatsoever.
Yeah.
I need this information to do the job. Well, I'm not giving you this information. Well,
and then I hold you accountable for not getting it right because you don't have the information.
Well, I'm just gonna be like, then we're done. Have a nice day because I can't do this job.
Right.
And are you and by the way, the other thing too, I have an asshole tax, so my rates. I really do.
Yeah, I have one. Yeah.
Right. No, it's important.
Yeah.
As a professional, you love what you do, right?
Yeah.
You want to keep loving what you do. You don't ever want to let somebody else poison a space you've worked hard to get to. You don't. And so when you are now, again, you have to put food on the table. Sometimes you may have to compromise a little bit. But here's the thing about that. And this, again, I'm an asshole. This is where I can be an asshole. I will ask myself if, okay, so there's, again, I'm a big integrity guy, but the other thing I hate the most is passive aggressiveness. I'll forgive passive aggressiveness more than I will give a breach of integrity, but I hate it. I absolutely hate it. So if I know
I can see that.
Yeah, I absolutely hate it. So I will charge you for it. And I will. I am that, again, I will. Because if I'm going to have to put up with it, I'm getting compensated.
You're working for it. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now let's flip it back to you and your current situation, your current way of doing things. I get the feeling, without going into too many details, that the burning has been from personal sources related to business.
Yeah.
I don't know the story. I just don't. It's just a hunch I have. So it sounds to so the first question I would ask both of you to ask is, do these people respect you? And if not you, the work you're actually doing. If the answer is no, right, then you need to evaluate accordingly. Sometimes that's simply a price point issue. I learned this. This is why we live in a very strange world where the more people charge, the more you're respected. That's how it works. It's a strange thing. Yeah, no, it's the truth.
I'm just like now learning
it's the truth. I my 4 rules came from working with one client. He broke 3 of the 4 rules. Not the right.
Yeah.
Not the emotional stability, but he broke 3 of my 4 rules, and I found the 4th rule. I was like, okay, that makes sense, right? So he broke 3 of them. Is this a man that respects my ability? No. But part of that was on me because I didn't charge enough. If I ever were to do a Kickstarter campaign again, I would be charging a significant chunk of money up front. Not because I know part of the work I'm going to do, but also in part so that the person who's having me do the campaign respects the fuck of my opinion is on this. That's part of why that price point is there. It's the truth.
Yeah.
It is the absolute truth. I've learned this as a freelancer.
Golly, it's amazing that we're having this conversation now. Because the stuff has been coming up in the past couple of weeks. That just, yeah. You kind of undervalue yourself because of your lack of experience or whatever, or you feel like you have lack of experience. I guess maybe imposter syndrome, maybe. I don't know.
It's a weird. Well, it's that awkward moment of. So I had a gentleman come and ask me one time that feature. He was a publicist, and he'd asked me to feature his clients on a specific date and time each and every month. He asked me if I would do that. I thought about that because I knew that was worth money. I had no idea what that was worth.
Yeah.
So I took some advice from some of my friends about what that actually would be worth money-wise. So I got that figure. When I've experienced working business with this gentleman in the past, I found their dealings to be very passive-aggressive. Now, it might have changed since then. Who knows? It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But I remember what I felt like when I was working with that. And that memory, I added an asshole tax on top of that. Because, again, if I'm dealing with it,
right?
Yeah. Right? No, again, it sounds dumb because it is kind of dumb.
Yeah, but that's
That's life. That's just the way it is,
that's it.
right? It's
Right.
dumb, but it is the way it is. So
So just
it's
remember to treat people right, so you don't get an asshole. Well, and that's the thing about
me and Chuck Pinot had a conversation about this. Chuck will tell you I have a like we've talked off the air. He'll tell you don't like never get on his bad side because he will charge you through the schnoz.
Yeah.
Right. I like I said, I have that. I lived in America, and America taught me to be a little ruthless. You have to be a little ruthless in this world. It's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
It's knowing when to use it. So can I give you a second wonderful piece of advice?
Huh? What, say?
Can I give you a second wonderful piece of advice?
Sure.
So here's the thing. Now, this is what I would do because you are awesome. Your partner is awesome. You guys should very quietly go to friends you trust and go, what's my shit worth? Okay, that's the first thing you do. Like, actually worth.
Yeah.
Figure out what that number actually is. Okay. You can make a decision to go a little lower if you feel like you want to. Again, there's some people that just can't. Again, number 4 is the most forgivable. They're not ready for you, but you can bend the rules a little bit with rule 4 if you want to.
Yeah.
You got to make that's up to you. Like, I'm not going to tell you what, like, there are some projects that are just fun to do and you'll just do them because they're just fucking fun. Right.
Right.
So never deny yourself that. But, so the first thing you do is figure out what it's worth. Then very quietly, especially if it's someone you know that you have issues dealt with in the past, how much would it cost you to work with that person and not resent it? And what I want you to do is take that base number, okay? I want you to start jacking up the price until you hear a yes. That's the price you settle for. Then I want you to go 10% or maybe 15% higher to start. 2 reasons for that. You can negotiate down, which is important, right? Number 1. And number 2, in the event they just say yes, you just made more money. Sweet. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. But that's never been a strong point of mine. Now, my wife, as far as haggling is concerned, I have to
have her haggle for you. Hey, Nia, like seriously, that's my advice. Like for him, just do it like that. Just right. Go to your friends, see what he's actually worth because he's awesome, and then like just put that question in mind, and then seriously, just do it.
Yeah.
That's again. This is just one asshole with a microphone's opinion, but.
Hey, I like it. So I definitely listen. So.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's like business secrets 101. Do not, yeah. Also, special rule for rule 5. Special rule of dealing business with Josh. Don't piss him off.
Yeah, if you don't want an asshole tax, don't be an asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
It's real simple.
It sounds like, but again, it's about respect.
Yeah.
It is really about respect. It's not, you don't have to like everybody you work with, but they have to respect you.
Yeah.
Right? So the ones I mentioned, the client rules I mentioned to fire people, right? Like the first one, not ready, super forgivable. It's just not the right time. It's okay, whatever. You walk away if that's the case, and you shake hands. There's no hard feelings there. You're right, especially if it's just emotional. That one's a 50-50. That's understanding the situation, but also just realize what you can't carry. That's important. You gotta look out for you there. But again, there doesn't have to be hard feelings there. They don't listen to you, right? They don't listen to you. Sometimes they're right. Again, you can always learn flip side, you can always learn as a freelancer, as someone doing something. But the first one's the most important one. If they're not going to give you the information you need to succeed, they do not respect you. It's levels of respectability, like the respect factor.
Yeah.
Again, you don't want to have your time wasted, which
Right.
is the right. But again, heart might be in the right place. Judgment call.
Right.
You're not someone's toy to be abused.
Yeah.
You're not there just to be a token mouthpiece unless they're paying you exceptionally well, right? Then whatever, you do what you want, right? And then
as long as it's 15%.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I mean, just understand that, right?
Right.
Wow, man, this got deep.
Ooh. But no, I'm good. I appreciate the advice. I really do. It's really hard to find, in this dog eat dog world, people who are willing to give you good advice. So,
Well, I hope it helps you. I hope it really, really does. It's just, dude, I got a big mouth and I've interviewed people. So, yeah, that's what I do.
there you go.
Yeah. Wow, we've had a great conversation. This went way longer than I thought we'd go.
Golly.
I know.
I think it was like 40 minutes last time I looked at it.
You had a lot more fun on this interview than I think the last interviews you've done, I'm sure.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm glad I was entertaining. Before we go, so do you know when your next books are going to come out? Do you have an idea?
Nothing as of yet. I have 2 in the hole for Arrow. Hopefully we're looking at sometime next year.
Okay.
Beginning of next year. And as far as Meredith and I's project Reapers, hopefully we'll get something off where next year we'll kickstart it. Hopefully.
All right. So Meredith, if you're listening to this, let's do it. How can people find you then if they want to get stuff written, drawn? Maybe.
Everything that you need to find me, my DeviantArt, Facebook, Twitter, all that is on Linktree. See Michael Lanning. So I guess it's linktr.ee/see Michael Lanning. And you can contact me on any of those. They should have my email or hit me up on Facebook. I'm always happy to take friends on Facebook, as long as we can disagree.
I promise it's hilarious. Like I said, he might troll you sometimes. Well, only if you're
I graduated from troll school, so
That's right. It was a great talking to you, man. It really, really was. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely cathartic.
Yeah, I'm glad, and I made you laugh quite a bit.
Yeah.
You enjoy my self-deprecation, I can tell.
Hey, anytime.
Anytime, right? That will do it, ladies and gentlemen, for another episode of Just Joshing. I want to thank C. Michael Lanning. Actually, it's probably 2 episodes, to be perfectly honest, because we went for a real long time, but I really enjoyed it. I want to thank all my sponsors. Roadkill Rampage #2 is going to launch in a week on Kickstarter. Link will be in the episode descriptions, right? After this is done, of course. Also, Golem by PD Aliva is out now. You can order it on Amazon. And Wiggers, the Well-Dressed Wamba, is coming out November 8th. You can definitely check out. Go to jennagreen.ca. And to everybody watching and listening, my next book, Alice 1, comes out December 1st. For everybody watching, listening, thank you all very, very much. I'm going to be doing another stream Thursday. Rob Multuri, Mog Park, 9:30 Eastern Time. The rest of this week is going to be kind of a quiet one because I got other things I kind of have on the go. But next week, I'm hoping next week we'll be back to a more regular schedule. I'll be breaking a month more farther and away. And, man, you got to come draw with me on an episode at some point.
Yeah, anytime.
All right. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys Thursday.